What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. On tonight's show, what have we got? We got a couple of trailers. We've got Gladiator 2 is added, if you can tell by the thumbnail, is adding some pretty big names. We've got the writer's strike, and could there finally be a Sue Storm that we can look forward to? We're going to go into all that. But first, let me introduce to you my awesome co-host tonight, starting with my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Not much. Feels like I haven't been here in a hot minute. But that's true because I wasn't. So, nice to come back a day early, I suppose.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, a rare Wednesday night show for us. I'll explain it to you here in just a minute. But yeah, it all kind of worked out for me to move it to Wednesday for this week for a couple of reasons. I'll go into that in just a minute. But also, the sheriff from the Lone Star State, our man Tex. What's up, brother?
You know, thanks to my good buddy Grim Tuesday up there, I've been on the zombie kick since last night. And, you know, if there's ever a situation where the three of us are on a survival team, I don't know one of you I'm going to shoot in the kneecaps first to run away, but that's probably going to happen, so prepare for that. So,
well,
just be ready. So.
You don't have to outrun the zombies. You just have to outrun.
You just have to outrun your friends. Is all you got to do. Yeah. So yeah. So like I said,
let's face it. We're all just going to trip Casey and run away. That's what we're doing.
Okay, I think that's a good middle ground. We sacrifice Casey and we all be best friends. I like that.
Pretty bold. You'd assume that he's going to make a core 4 here with the 4 of us. I don't know about
that. No, Casey's not in the core 4 here. I mean, obviously Cora assumes that other 4th role, but you know, Casey will be like our lackey that carries our survival bags. You know,
he's the pack mule.
We send him out for cases of chocolate pudding and you know whatever. So. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, Casey might be one of the safest people in the zombie apocalypse because they eat brains. So
that's true.
That'll be all right.
You're gonna walk up to him, sniff, and be like,
"Oh,
nah."
Right.
Be good for stealth, yeah.
But look, I've never made a thumbnail that's got somebody so excited, but Derek Haynes seems to be excited. He says, "Oh my God, this thumbnail just made my day." Gladiator is one of my favorite movies for a long time.
There you go.
For this, I'm pretty excited too.
I guess.
Are you not entertained?
Right, exactly.
But we'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, let me tell you guys real quick why we're on a Wednesday, because I got an opportunity to go do a little collaboration thing with American Werewolf in New Jersey. He wants to do something tomorrow for May the 4th. He wants to do a big review and get some people together to talk about Rogue One. He asked me if I wanted to do it. I was like, yeah, I would, but I kind of want to stick to my Thursday schedule. I don't want to cancel a stream. And he was like, yeah, just do it Wednesday. Do you have to do it? And I was like, well, let me see if most of the crew anyway is available to do this on a Wednesday, since I'm usually off Wednesdays too. So that's why the move to Wednesday. So tomorrow, you're actually going to see me over on the American Werewolf New Jersey. The link to his channel is in the description below. We'll be talking about Rogue One and probably some other just general Star Wars talk as well. So make sure you go check him out tomorrow when you would usually be watching us.
I'm glad I was invited. It's not like I'm a big Star Wars fan or anything like that.
You know what? You can talk to him because guess who's going to be here with us Thursday or Saturday when we go do the
Jeremy,
Evil Dead Rise
the Force did not will you to be there, Jeremy. That was not the way. All right, that was not the way. I'm sorry.
That's fine. So. I didn't know we were doing that Saturday. That's cool. I'll be at Comic-Con all day, so I guess you won't see me for that.
Well, then maybe we could. Well, I didn't know that, but we'll figure that out later.
Nerd fight. I'm going to Comic-Con. I'm going to talk Star Wars.
I didn't know that either, but we'll work it out. We'll work it out one way or the other.
Yeah, I put more work into that President Loki outfit. I tore up the jacket. I've done a little more to it. I got a better tie bar and tie and a wig finally, so hopefully it looks better.
But we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out later. But for right now, we have a couple of things we need to discuss. And one of those things we discussed is we got a couple of trailers that have come out recently. One of them is, you'll be wondering, are you ready to return to the Hunger Games? Because Lionsgate dropped during CinemaCon its first official trailer for the Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That's the latest film, franchise installment based on the Suzanne Collins prequel novel, which was also a New York Times bestseller. Fans want to know and see the origins of the story, said Lionsgate's Adams Fogelson at CinemaCon, likening the project to prequels such as Wicked or Star Wars The Phantom Menace. The film stars Tom Blythe, Rachel Ziegler, Peter Dinklage, and Viola Davis, and is directed by Francis Lawrence. Tex, what do you think? Are you looking forward to this? Are you a Hunger Games fan? What do you think?
I know nothing about Hunger Games and have never seen a film. I guess I'm a bad fan today. All I know is that it had that hot chick that played Mystique in the X-Men films.
She's not even in this one, so.
And teenagers fought and killed one another. That's about the length of knowledge I have about this. So, yeah.
Hey, same, Tex. Great conversation. Next story.
I'm glad I didn't want to spend too much time talking about these first two trailers. I wanted to have heavier conversation about the other stuff because you guys have nothing to offer to this. I wouldn't even bother going to Jeremy because I was asking about it before.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about Evil Dead Rise, I can do that.
Right.
But
that's not coming tonight.
It might have to. We have nothing else to talk about.
Well, I mean, okay. How about this? I don't know much about Hunger Games, but I can talk about the cast. I mean, Peter Dinklage and Viola Davis alone, you've got some heavy hitters already. Fair. I mean, you've got Amanda Waller in the soon-to-be new Toxic Avenger if that movie ever gets put out. Come on, whoever's making that thing. But, yeah, I mean, I watched the trailer. It looks good, and, I mean, it looks like it'll be a big hit for Warner Brothers come Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it looks good.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was a little underwhelmed by the trailer, mostly because I'm not saying the movie's going to suck. I mean, I want the movie to be good.
Right.
But the last couple of movies, I liked the first one. It was interesting. I liked the second one. But the last couple, they missed for me in spots. I think they would have done a lot better just making that movie a trilogy and not trying to split it up into two parts, which for some reason became a fad in Hollywood for a while. Right. And especially for the stuff that was based on books, like they did it with Harry Potter, but even that one, I kind of got what their reasoning was, but still, I was like, I don't think you need to make two movies out of this. And then they did it with Twilight because they obviously just wanted to make another movie's worth of money out of it. And it was the same thing with Hunger Games. They were like, well, shit, if that's going to be what we're doing now, that's what we're doing. And I'm like, no, you could have summed this up in one like 2.5 hour long movie, and it would have been much better. So the last couple of movies didn't really do much for me. That's one of the reasons I'm really not overly excited about this. And again, it's got the prequel thing to it. Prequels are very hit and miss. And do you really want to go see the younger version of President Snow before he becomes that asshole villainous person that Donald Sutherland so brilliantly portrayed in the other films? So I don't really know if this movie is necessary or if it's really going to do what I think it's going to do. There were some visuals in there I thought were pretty cool. Stanley Tucci is playing a much younger version of the TV host guy, which I find kind of awesome because he's very unsure of himself. It's definitely a younger version. It's almost like going back to the 60s for us and watching like one of these great TV hosts as they were just getting started. But yeah, I mean, the trailer didn't do anything to really blow me away. Maybe another trailer that actually gives me a lot more of the plot will get me interested. But I wasn't overly excited by the trailer. It didn't really get me going. If the movie came out tomorrow, I'd be like, I'll go see this trailer. I'll go see this movie at some point. It's not one of those. It didn't make me want to go see it opening night. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
But whatever. And to top it off, no Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, you've got Rachel Zegler, who's she's on the come up right now, which is nice. And you've got a couple. Peter Dinklage obviously is in it, so you've got some people in it that are good actors I would like to watch. But for the most part, the trailer didn't do a whole lot for me. You know what I mean?
Is it okay? Hunger Games is like a teen kind of property, right? Like I said, I know very little about it.
The books are very young adult, but they're some fairly serious. Fairly serious tones. I mean, obviously, like the murder and all that, the dystopian future kind of thing going on. I mean, they've got that. So it's based on a young adult series of novels, but it's definitely not. It's not as mature as I think you could have made it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I
don't know. Like I said, I've never seen anything outside of a trailer or still images of anything. I think the only reason I ever looked at any of that was Jennifer Lawrence. That was about as far as I went. So
Tech stepped up and said, "I volunteer as tribute."
That's
about as far as I know.
If she's willing, I mean, as you know, if she's got the money, I've got the time, kind of thing. You know what I mean? But hey, the trailer looked good, but I don't know. It was. Now, okay, is this in our world? because like in this trailer they had like the gigantic old tube TVs like on the wall. Is this like a dystopian future kind of thing, or what is this? I don't really know much.
I would consider it kind of more Elseworlds than futuristic.
Okay.
It's kind of like if World War II had gone way differently and gone even more off the rails than it did in real life, what the world could have been like if the United States broke up into factions and different districts and there were wars between the districts, kind of like a whole new civil war, that kind of thing. They don't really go greatly into the details of exactly what caused Pan Am to become, but I mean, maybe they'll explore that a little bit in this movie. I mean, politically, if you want to make it a little bit more of a political thriller and kind of do some stuff like that, I think that could be interesting. But again, I just don't want to see the Hunger Games again. You know what I mean? I was kind of done with it after the last 4 movies.
You know, I'm sure there's a market for it. I mean, you know, I'm sure it'll do well. It's a big studio property. I mean, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, I've never read the book, so I don't know if the book's any good or not. I don't know anybody that has read the book, at least not anybody that I know of that has read it. So I don't really know anything about that. But I mean, whatever. I didn't read any other Hunger Games books either. So, and I thought those movies were for the most part enjoyable. But whatever.
They should bring back Jennifer Lawrence. Us grown folk have something to drool over. Is what they should do.
They really should not. Because honestly, it was towards the end of this franchise that she started to kind of like act like she didn't care about acting. Like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. It's like the last time she played Mystique. Like, the only thing that took me out of that movie was her performance. She obviously didn't want to be there anymore, and I'm like, this.
Yeah, but to be fair, that last time she wasn't in the movie in that Dark Phoenix for very long. Spoilers.
She wasn't in it because she was a bitch and didn't want to be in the movie in the series anmore.
Yeah,
they wanted her to play a bigger role, and they were like, you know what, whatever. You're under. I don't like it when it affects their performance. It's like she's really odd, and I kind of relate to this because I'm the same way sometimes. If she doesn't want to be there, she lets you know it with her performance. And honestly, it takes things down a lot. If you've got somebody moping through their lines and not really giving their all, but you've got other people on set that are trying to do things great, and they're trying to make a great movie or a great scene or a great moment in a film, it just kind of it takes away from them. So it's like the whole time she was in that movie, I was like, can you just kill her in the first 5 minutes and get it over with? I don't want to, because her death in that movie meant nothing to me because at that point I hated her. I just didn't want to see her in the movie anymore. And that's kind of how hard to get at the end of the Hunger Games. It's like, I mean, even like the scene where she like shoots the arrow at the very end, that was a cool scene. But for like most of that movie, she seemed like she was just phoning it in. She wasn't really there for it. And I was like, bitch, get out of my face. You're not hot enough for me to like put up with your terrible fucking acting performances. Sorry. If that's what you want to be, go be a model. Just look at you. I don't want to have to hear you talk if this is the way you're going to be. And that's one of the reasons I think that maybe I'm not so excited about this. It's like the last couple of Hunger Games movies that were kind of like meh. They weren't good like the first ones, but whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But go down in the comments below. I mean, it could be different, and I want it to be different. Like I said, I want this to be a good movie because I'm interested kind of in that world and what it's all about. I'd like to learn more about how the Hunger Games came to be. It doesn't really explain that in the movies. It probably was the books. Again, I haven't read the books, but you know, whatever. The movie will come out. I'll see it eventually, and hopefully it's good. But I'm about 50-50 onto whether I think this is going to be decent enough to watch or not. But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Did you see the trailer for The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I think is actually a way too long of a title, in my opinion. They could have just called it Hunger Games the prequel, and I would have been fine. But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys thought of the trailer. Now, moving on to our next topic today, another big trailer that came out today that has got a lot of people talking. There is no question that Dune Part 2 is going to be one of the biggest movies of 2023. And we were treated to the first trailer this morning for the follow-up film, which explores more of Frank Herbert's 1965 novel and has one of the best casts ever assembled. Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya are back alongside Florence Pugh, Austin Butler, fresh off his Oscar win, Christopher Walken, the great Christopher Walken, and so many more. Dune Part 2 will be released on November 3rd, 2023. Jeremy, you just watched the trailer right before we went live. What did you think of this trailer? And does it make you more excited for the film? I actually am pretty excited now.
Yeah, I saw Florence Pugh, and that's all I needed to know. So
there you go.
I was sold. So to be fair, I mean, the original is great. Like, I mean, if anyone's not seen the original Dune, I mean, go watch it. It's a great, 80s sci-fi
The one from
movie.
the 90s or the first one they made of this series?
No, the one from back in the, I thought it was in the 80s.
80
or is it 80s or 90s? I couldn't remember.
I thought it was like late 80s, maybe?
The original one was like 80 or 81 or something like that.
Oh, early. Okay.
Oh, okay. It's something I remember. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's it's like up there with those good ones like Tron and shit like that. But honestly, it's like I remember watching this remake they did a few years ago now.
A couple of years ago.
Maybe about 2 years now. And I enjoyed it, honestly. Just kind of hitting the ground, laying everything out, setting up this world. Literally this world somewhere else out in. I don't know if I can say in a galaxy far, far away because that might be pulling somebody else's strings.
I didn't see two suns, so we're not Tatooine or whatever.
But we can't get away from these damn desert planets. Apparently, I mean it's in the title of the movie.
That sand just gets everywhere, and you just can't get rid of it.
That sand gets everywhere, and then the shit underneath the sand will eat you. So there's that. But no, I thoroughly.
The sand's like an ocean.
I thoroughly enjoyed the first movie, and actually looks like Zendaya is actually going to be in this damn movie, not just she was there for 2 days, like doing a bunch of flashbacks and close-ups of like this close to her face in the fucking camera. So,
what's that thing in her nose?
That was to help them breathe, wasn't it?
To help them breathe.
Because
okay.
And that's why her eyes are like that bright blue, is because like the
whatever chemical it is that they're mining on the planet, it turns their eyes blue.
The particles and crap, it turns your eyes blue, and also the things in their noses are to help them breathe on the planet. So it's you know what? I'm excited for part 2. I wasn't quite. I mean, when Zendaya ends the movie with "Hey, we've only just begun," I'm like, God damn it, we're doing a part 2, aren't we? Of course we are. But I'm not mad. I'm not mad about it. It's one of those movies that I've said sometimes when you actually feel like it feels like a long movie, but in a good way. Like I felt like I enjoyed the entire ride. But I still agree with Oscar Isaac that I don't know how I'm supposed to believe that someone like him is Timothée Chalamet's dad because he's the whitest dude ever. But whatever. That was a great joke he made. But I don't know. Now you got, and like we've said before, there's nothing wrong with adding talent. So I mean, again, I Florence Pugh, and I mean Christopher Walken. I mean, how can you go wrong? So I'm ready for it.
Yeah, Tex. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the trailer or not. Did you get a chance to see it? If so, what did you think?
Yes, I watched the trailer. Well, I mean, I know nothing of Dune, so I'm a big 0 for 2 on tonight. So my apologies.
At least I had that one.
Right, Jeremy was one more for. He's got 1 mark to my 0 for tonight, so he's in the lead. But no, I mean the trailer looked cool. I mean, my biggest takeaway from this is why has Austin Butler not played Pinhead in a Hellraiser movie yet? When you look at him in this movie, he looks like he looks like pre-Pinhead. He just needs the nails. Like that's all the dude needs.
His look is pretty.
I mean,
that was awesome.
He looks awesome in this trailer, and I mean the Dune is. I saw the older movie probably 15 years ago, but that's the last time I've even. I didn't see the newest one or the last one with Jason Momoa and whatever. But I don't. It just Dune was never in my fan wheelbase, I guess, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it looks great. I mean, it looks like an epic kind of. I got like a Star Wars, Indiana Jones kind of vibe to it. I mean, obviously the Star Wars comparisons are there. I mean. Jeremy said, sand planet and everything else, weird looking things. And, it was very much, I did get like Mandalorian season 3 vibes when they were on their planet, like fighting their version of dinosaurs or whatever, when he's riding it with the hook thing that he had or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the trailer was very entertaining. I mean, for me not to be a fan of it, I wouldn't mind going to see it, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I Dune, the original Dune that came out in like 80 or 81. That was one of the things that really drew me to sci-fi. It's a very, I've always kind of compared it to Blade Runner, like the original Blade Runner. That was like now people. It is very similar. That now people look at it and they're like, "Holy shit, this movie was so far ahead of its time." It was just
you finally realize it. Yeah.
It was too smart and too good for audiences at the time. They didn't know what they had. Like if you didn't know that gold was important and they handed you a lump of gold, you would be like, "What the fuck is this rock? Get it away from me!" But yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Is that was by today's standards, that's considered like an epic sci-fi thing. And they had actually originally intended to do more Dune movies after the 1980 film, but because it did so poorly at the box office, they kind of like, we're just going to back off this and not do it. Not understanding that thing was going to end up being kind of the cult favorite that it ended up being. What are you saying, Jay?
Dune was 1984, apparently.
84, okay. I thought it was earlier than that, but
I wasn't.
But yeah, that movie. I mean, much like Blade Runner has become sci-fi royalty over the years because it's just so damn good now that people look at it and they're like, "Wait a minute, this is really good." I love the last movie that came out. I thought it was great. I was one of the people that was kind of wondering, like, why wouldn't you start filming the second one right away? Because they were just like, we filmed this one not having any kind of an idea if we were going to do a second one. I'm like, well, you knew you were going to end it the way you did. It's like, you're going to end it on a cliffhanger and just not know if you're going to make a second movie. That was odd to me. But whatever.
You got to make sure you get everybody in the movie, though. There's a lot of star power in this, and I know they're not always all there at the same time. I know that, but
and on top of that,
might be part of it.
This was one of the films that was affected by theater closures during the pandemic as well. So.
True.
I mean, they were just like, if whether they thought they had $1 billion movie in their hands or not, I mean, everybody got kind of screwed at that point, whether your movie was good or bad. So
you could have,
but it ended up making $400 million. It got released day and date. I think it was one of those movies that got day and date release on streaming. But $400 million for what we were facing in theaters at the moment is not bad. There was a lot of movies doing about the same. So I think that could have been a big $1 billion movie. But honestly, but more importantly than any of that, the movie was good. It was engrossing. It was a great story. It had all that epic storytelling of Star Wars with a little bit of the, I guess it's a good comparison to say kind of a little bit of Indiana Jones thing. But I like the fact that they've also said that this is going to be a war movie. Denis Villeneuve right now is probably one of the better directors in Hollywood, to be perfectly honest. He was saying this is going to be like a straight up war epic. And I love war epics. And I think it's a good thing to make it that, considering where the first movie left off. I think it probably makes a lot of sense.
When he's sitting up there with on the fucking thing with the knife in the air, and I'm like, okay, here we go. We're going. We'll throw it down.
Now, I do have one question. Does every role that Dave Bautista gets, he's a bald-headed alien creature? Because he went from Guardians of the Galaxy to this. It looks like he has the same Drax makeup, just bleached out.
To be fair, he went from Guardians to Knock at the Cabin to Dune.
Probably. Oh yeah, I forgot about. Hey, I like Knock at the Cabin. That was actually pretty good. Actually,
I haven't watched it yet. It's actually on my on my stream.
Is he a weird alien in that movie too?
No, he's more of a psycho religious nut.
Oh,
which is he plays it's actually very entertaining how he does it. He's like cultist, kind of hardcore, like, religious nut kind of thing. But
that's kind of the vibe.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Bautista's not a great actor. I mean, I love Army of the Dead. I like the movie that they put out on Netflix, but his acting's never been the greatest. But I wonder how big of a role he has in this movie. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve told Vanity Fair that it's going to be a war epic action movie, but the center of the film is Paul and Chani's relationship. He said he wanted to make it a very human movie, very close to the characters, despite the scope of the film, which I think is awesome. He said, I kept saying to the crew, the most important thing is that spark, the relationship between both these characters. And if we don't capture that, we don't have that on screen, there's probably no movie. That's the epicenter of the story, is this relationship. Because it does have kind of this... not necessarily a Romeo and Juliet thing, but definitely did kind of opposite sides of the tracks kind of thing between those two characters. So, and then of course, kind of like the political stuff that's going on inside of it all is also kind of interesting to me. But yeah, I don't know. The trailers got me really excited. Look, I guess I thought it was really, really good. I like the Dune franchise as a whole. Again, I haven't read any of the books, but it's played out very, very well on screen, and the visuals. And let's face it, this trailer, he rides a fucking sandworm. It's like he like throws the hooks into it. He's riding this gigantic sandworm that is probably the size of the Empire State Building, riding it through the sand. That was some of the craziest shit I've ever seen. I want that scene alone, and I think this movie's gonna kick ass on that scene alone. But that's
eat your heart out, Boba Fett.
Yeah, he's like,
that's a cute rancor you got there.
Hold my beer.
Right. Let me hold blue milk. Watch this.
Yeah, but yeah, that scene alone just looked awesome. And again, there's great character work and again, great action. I mean, you've got Christopher Walken, who's just great.
This is another one produced by Warner Brothers, right?
Yes.
So they're going to have like a really big year when it comes to franchises that they're pushing in. From Hunger Games to this. I mean, they're really getting into that lineage type stuff. Now, I don't know a lot about Dune, but which book are they on? I know there's like 4 or 5 books, right? Is this the second one, or are they still like? Do we know where they are, or what?
There is multiple books, or just one big book.
I think there's 2 because when I looked up the '84 movie, it said adapted from Dune and then Dune 2, I think. So that was that.
Okay, movie. I thought there was more than. I thought it was like a whole series of books.
I thought it was. Let me look.
But I didn't know how big of a franchise is. Like is this like a Harry Potter thing where there's like 9 possible books or something? Or I don't know how big this was.
Holy crap! Well, I love that this was the question on Google: is Dune a trilogy or 6 books? That's kind of a big jump there.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. It could be 4 or 5 too. There, Google.
It says there are 6 books in the Dune series. Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I mean, it's Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, Chapter House Dune. So it's kind of funny that this is just called Dune Part 2. I don't know if they're going to have a subtitle maybe later, but I'm cool if they don't. I mean, those are cool titles. And I don't know if it is picking and choosing from different aspects of the series, or like I said, are we going to kind of go through the whole thing, or what's? I don't know. There's a big scope of this world we're in, and I was going to mention that like when I watched that the remake, I was like I felt like just I mean when you look out, it's just sand everywhere, just desert. It just feels massive. You know what I mean? It's just like you can't walk in one direction, and like you're gonna be walking that way for hundreds, thousands of whatever space miles. I don't know what they measure by.
Okay, so there's a lot more than 6 books. Frank Herbert wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Now there could be like offshoots.
6 on his own.
Okay, yeah.
It came out between 65 and 85. Then Kevin J. Anderson took over, and he wrote 2, 4, 6, 8. He wrote 8.
So there's tons of material that they can pull from.
Sequels that were written by other people.
Wow.
2, 4, 6, 8.
That are all considered canon, though? Because that's wild.
So I was going to say, this might be like Star Wars with Legends or whatever.
One actually just came out last year. One actually just came out last year called The Heir of Caladan, which I don't know what that's representing.
Holy crap.
And then other short stuff, obviously comic books and things like that. And then, of course, the films.
So we're still doing stuff. All right.
So there's plenty of stuff to pull off of. But, but I know they had planned on making at least 2 or 3 movies back in the 80s, but because financially the first one to do so well, they kind of backed off. And then, but it just, like I said, it became this cult thing amongst sci-fi fans, and for its scope and its big story and all the elements that it works into it. And they ended up returning to it again with Denis Villeneuve, and I think the last movie was fantastic. I really liked it. It left open a lot of things. We don't know if Josh Brolin's character is dead. This in the trailer, it actually
Josh Brolin was in this trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, was he in the trailer? Did I miss him?
He was in the trailer for like 2 seconds, but he was in it. Yeah,
because if you watch the movie, he like runs into battle and there's explosions and everything. You don't see him the rest of the movie, so I was like, does he die?
Yeah, no, he's so like midway through, he's looking through binoculars or something.
Yeah, so you left with that question, Jason. I mean, there's some skeptical shit about whether Jason Momoa is going to come back or not. I'm pretty sure his character's dead.
I think he died,
but that was a pretty cool death, though. And this even asked, is Paul Atreides his
death is his own reward?
His dad. Yeah.
They're like, is he really dead? It's like, I'm like, wait a minute. So now I'm all for bringing him back, because I love the character, I love the actor, but at the same time, I'm like, whatever. But yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested in this movie. This is a really good first trailer. I would imagine when Comic-Con hits in the next couple of months, that we're going to be that we're going to be getting probably another big trailer, if not, because this comes out in November. So July, that'd be a good time to drop another big trailer and to really start your marketing push. But yeah, I love the trailer. I thought it was awesome. I have no complaints about it at all. It looks great. It looks like it's going to fit in with the other one very, very well. Again, kind of odd that they didn't have the second one already planned out. Granted, COVID and everything probably would have paused production anyway. But I mean, to not even have anything planned out, or even most of your guys under contract for a second movie, I think was just odd. But yeah, I'm really excited about the trailer. I thought it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys liked it too.
So what you're saying is things like Blade Runner and Dune kind of had the Marty McFly thing where you're just like, well, I guess you guys aren't ready for that. The kids are going to love it.
The kids are going to love it.
Oh, right.
You got to hear this. Hold the phone up.
Rating movies. Because it can change over time. Because I very simply could have watched because Blade Runner I didn't really get into until later into my teens. And that means the movie had been out for like 10 years. I know I had seen it when I was a kid, but my dad liked it. But I was just like, whatever. It's my dad's movie. It's boring. All I want is, when I was that
we've all seen movies like that, though.
All I wanted was pretty colors and action. I didn't really know the depth of a movie at the time. Well, when I watched it again when I got into my teens, I was like, wait a minute, this movie's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, two examples of how time can affect a movie. Whenever like Batman and Robin came out, I was a kid, right? I thought, this is awesome. I love this movie. And then every year I grew older, I hated it that much. Like every year, and now I don't even. Yeah. I don't even. It's like I try to erase that it would ever even made.
You start seeing the cracks in the
right.
There, huh?
Well, I mean, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, bright colors and Mr. Freeze is funny.
Ooh, Batman.
Blah blah blah. Right, and then it is what it is. So
they sold their damn toys, so whatever.
Right.
I guess that was kind of the downfall of it. Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, listen, I'm not a Dune guy, but I mean, I'm just off of the visuals of this movie, I'm interested in going to see it. And I mean, you kind of need that to get that casual audience to go see something like that. You know what I mean? So something to draw people in. So yeah, I'll go check it out for sure.
Yeah, I thought the trailer was pretty good. So get on the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Did you see the trailer for Dune? I don't know if they're calling it Chapter 2. It's just Part 2. I think they're calling it Dune Part 2. No special tagline. Just Dune Part 2. Did you see it? Let us know what you guys thought of in the comments below. I thought it was pretty good. And now moving on to our next topic of the day. We've been hearing about this movie for a long, long time now, but now it looks like there's some tangibility to all this. Let's see. Stranger Things star Joseph Quinn and Last of Us star Pedro Pascal are in talks. Actually, I think now it's become pretty much official. Joseph Quinn is in. Pedro Pascal, it's almost official. Are in talks to join the Gladiator sequel. Quinn will star in the Ridley Scott film as Roman Emperor Caracalla. Pascal's role is currently not known. The project is a follow-up to the 2001 Best Picture Oscar winner that followed Maximus Decimus Meridius, played by Russell Crowe, a former general who was sold into slavery and forced to fight as a gladiator under the rule of Commodus, played by Joaquin Phoenix, a patriarchal self-appointed emperor of Rome. They would join Paul Mescal, who will lead the movie. Connie Nelson is set to return as Lucia, the sister of Commodus. As previously reported, Denzel Washington, Barry Kagan are also set for the film. Tex, how excited are you about some of this casting news for Gladiator 2?
Oh, I'm down for this. I love the first Gladiator. I mean, obviously, we've already used the line, but are you not entertained? I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, this is like, Braveheart, Gladiator. It's one of those movies that you just love it. It's like, you feel more manly walking out of it because you're like, I could take it down. I could do it. You know what I mean? I mean, look at the cast they've got. I mean, from Denzel Washington. I mean, they've got freaking Eddie Munson in here. They've got Stepdaddy Pedro. Good God, he's in everything now. I mean, they've nailed it with the cast. Now, my only worry here is Ridley Scott. I don't know if y'all saw the Alien prequels that he did, Prometheus and that other one, but good God, those were horrible. So I hope that was just a passing phase and he has, maybe found some new inspiration or whatever. But I mean, if you can get Denzel and all these other people in the film, you're doing something right. So as far as casting goes, this is great. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see where this goes, and I mean, this is an automatic watch for me. I mean, the first Gladiator is maybe one of the best films ever made of the last 50 years or so. I think you could argue that. But yeah, I was excited. I mean, Barry Keoghan. Last time I saw him, he was Joker in that Robert Pattinson Batman movie. He was like 2 seconds in it. I don't know what else he's done. Wasn't he also in Eternals?
He was in the Eternals, yeah. He was the one that like mind controlled his little cult of people.
Yeah, I thought that was him. But yeah, I mean, whoever casted this film did an amazing job. So I mean, if you just want to go off of that alone, they knocked it out of the park. You know what I mean?
And Jimon Hansu is going to come back to reprise his role from the original film as well, which I think is kind of cool.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, yeah, no, Gladiator 1's it's an amazing movie. It's just, I mean, it's an epic film. It's one of those movies that you remember it when you see it, and it sticks with you. And hopefully this one can be, if this one's even half as good as the first one, it's going to be great. You know what I mean?
Well, Jay, what do you think? We've been anticipating this one for a while now, and it's added one particular name that I know that you're really happy about. What do you think about the potential for what this movie can be?
I'm surprised. Well, first of all, I'm surprised Tex didn't. We missed another opportunity there, and he said, what he thought about the Alien prequel movies.
Yeah,
you're welcome. I was sitting there squirming. I'm like, so you mean like?
I thought about that after I said it, but I'm like, I know the moment's passed. We'll just keep going. You know what I mean? I'm glad you got the assist on that. It's all good.
I got you. Yeah. So again, I guess the running theme tonight is adding talent to something. I'm like, hey, look,
right.
Like you said, you got freaking Eddie Munson in this thing. You got fucking Daddy Pascal. I guess we're gonna call him now.
Do they give him a kid of somebody else's making in this movie?
I swear.
I was about to say it. If they make him a stepdad, then it's going to be like, come on, guys. Now you're just
now we're doing it on purpse.
Now you're just
the man's been typecasted. He can't get away from it. He can't,
Now he does it well, but however, it's old hat.
Does he do it well? Because he always ends up dying. Like, does he always do it well? I'm just saying. I don't know.
Well, he didn't die yet. He hasn't died in Star Wars, so
it's true.
Yeah, part 2 of Last of Us is gonna be great. Gonna come out swinging. It's bad taste. But yeah, no. So like, I know I'm also the person who's very vocal about like, oh my god, why are we making a sequel 20 years later? However, there are a few exceptions where I will say I'm like, you know what? I actually don't even have any. I didn't have any like pause or like doubts about it. I'm like, you know what? This could be kick ass. And honestly, I feel like they wouldn't, like I said, they wouldn't put this amount of, like he said, like Tex said, the amount of star power you're putting into this now, to not have faith in it. That it's probably going to be pretty awesome. That we will come out of there entertained. So, I think I've about expelled all my Gladiator jokes. So, it
now, let's see. Joaquin Phoenix's character lived at the end of it. I can't. Right?
No, he died.
I'm like,
did he die too?
I think he did die. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I guess I need to rewatch it because I know
fight between him and Russell Crowe, and Russell Crowe ends up taking him out, and then dies immediately thereafter.
Yeah. Well, I remember him dying, but I was like, maybe I don't know, maybe some way if we could get like something with Joaquin Phoenix in here, even like a flashback scene or something, which I mean they may still do. I think that would be really cool because I mean Joaquin Phoenix is great, but yeah, I mean I don't know. I'm excited for this one. Whenever I saw news for this, like I was telling you before we started, I was like, holy crap, this looks like a banger. I mean, they're not holding back.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, like Pedro Pascal is kind of easy. Like I said, don't make him anybody's stepdad. That would just be taking a piss out of the fans.
Oh, they have
to. At that point, that's one of the things that if they did it, it'd be like, come on, we know what you guys are doing. Just stop. Don't make your pandering so obvious. Give him a real meaty role to play. Because even before the whole best stepdad in the universe thing, he was a very accomplished actor, very good one.
Oh yeah.
The interesting thing here to me though is friggin' Joseph Quinn. That's the interesting part here to this for me, because after having that meteoric rise from a role like he had from Stranger Things, you can see a lot. Usually, the next couple of roles you take are the ones that will make you realize: do people just want to see me play this one thing, or can I really display my acting ability? And I don't think a lot of people realize this guy's actually got a pretty good acting resume on him. He's got like Shakespearean experience and shit like that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'm really worried that people are only going to see Eddie and they're not going to see him and his real acting abilities getting into different roles and doing a very good job doing these roles. So this is the interesting part to me. Am I glad he's in it? Absolutely. Because I want to see his career grow and flourish, and I want him to one day after he's won an Oscar or something, I look back on it and be like, this started when I was hanging out with a bunch of kids in 1987 or whatever.
86, baby.
Or whatever.
Talking about 86,
chasing around Demigorgons and shredding fucking Metallica on top of this busted up RV in like the fucking underworld or whatever. It's like, I want him to be able to look back on that and be happy that his career has been good, not just that he's going to be one of those guys that, at 50 years old is going around the cons and all he's signing is Eddie merch. Like, that would be a disappointment.
Hey, you know what?
I wouldn't like the Robert Englund his performance any less. Yeah, but Robert Englund's done a lot more than just Freddy.
True.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, man.
But however, what do you think of? Yeah.
Robert Englund, I mean, all the Jasons, all the people who played Michael, even all it takes is one in the horror world, which Stranger Things obviously is. All you need is one big role. You can milk that for the rest of your life. But
what about Johnny?
There are horror cons full of people that do that. You know what I mean?
Like with Johnny with Pirates of the Caribbean, like we know him as Jack Sparrow, but he's been a slew of things.
Well, Edward Scissorhands, yeah. I mean, he's done so many things, but yeah, he'll. So many actors have that one signature role. I know that's why people like. Affleck were kind of nervous about getting into the superhero world, before he did Batman and all that or whatever.
Daredevil.
Right. I mean,
that's why we were worried about Batman. Let's be honest.
That's why we were worried. Yeah.
Right.
That's why we
were no. I'm talking about from like his perspective. I've heard interviews where he said he didn't want to get, do the studio superhero craze kind of thing again because of Daredevil and whatever. But I mean, Joseph Quinn, he's obviously talented. I mean, have I seen anything outside of Eddie Munson? No, I'll be honest.
No, I haven't.
But you can recognize talent when you see it if you have any kind of eye. And for that guy to captivate the world the way that he did, it's like you said, Frank. I mean, he's got real talent. He's got the star potential that, if nurtured correctly, can take him far. And I'm surprised. I mean, I'm sure he's been offered 1,000 roles already. I mean, there's no way that he hasn't after Stranger Things season 4. But, I mean, yes, like I said, Ridley Scott's my biggest worry about this. Crazy Blade said something about the prequels were better than Alien 4. Well, staring at the wall was better than Alien 4. That's not saying much. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But, it's... this is Gladiator. Like I said, this is an epic level film that, it's like a Titanic, a Braveheart. It's on that level. And I hope they nail this because, they've got the right people for it.
Yeah, I'll also be interested to see Pedro Pascal in this. I mean, hopefully, I don't know what kind of a role I want him to play yet. I kind of want him to not be the Gladiator because I've seen him do so much as... in Last of Us, I've seen him do so much fighting in Mandalorian. I really want the dialogue to be like his biggest weapon in this movie, and not just the blasters and the guns and the knives and whatever, fighting the infected. I really want to see him be able to act, and not that he's not acting in these other things. He's doing a very good job, but I really want him just to deliver just some really strong, just badass dialogue.
And he was also in Game of Thrones. I mean, kind of the same vein. I'm like, it's not like he couldn't do something of that.
I never saw him on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, him and Bill Lorenzo are both in there, which is hilarious.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, but I was like, come on, you're not going to tell me you don't want to see Stepdaddy and some Gladiator outfits. Come on, the memes are going to write themselves.
I wouldn't
And
be
the thirst
against
traps.
it, but I wouldn't be against it. But I don't want that to be kind of like his whole existence.
Well,
in the film.
to be fair, he doesn't do much in-suit armor stuff for Mandalorian anyways.
Right.
Like, the only time he's actually in that is when it's a face reveal scene. You know, like, whoever plays stuntman for Mando is, like, the most uncredited guy ever because nobody talks about him. So, I mean, for him to do something, for Pedro Pascal to do something physical, that it's not like, you know, we've seen it 1,000 times because he doesn't do it that often besides Last of Us. You know what I mean?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if I asked you real quick, tell me who's Darth Vader. It's like, well, it's...
Right. James Earl Jones is who you're going to say. Yeah. I mean,
but who's in the suit?
Right.
Only the hardcore fans.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's David Prowse. So that's kind of the same problem. It's like, oh, you know it's James Earl Jones. You know that voice. You know that power. It's like, yeah, but it's also, you know, the physique is, you know, David Prowse.
Right. Well, they do the same thing for Michael Myers. I mean, if you ask anybody who's the original Michael Myers, 99.99% of people are going to tell you Nick Castle. But Tony Moran, as big of an idiot as he is, he still goes to conventions because he's the face of Myers for like 2 seconds in the original film, and he still goes around to every con that he can using Nick Castle's pictures, but pretending it's him to put his face picture next to, and he still gets money off. I mean, it's the same thing. But, you know, I mean, Pedro, I don't want to see him be the main lead in this. If I were doing this, Joseph Quinn would be the one he would be my Gladiator character. He would be my, you know, Russell Crowe type guy in this film. But, I mean, Pedro Pascal's one of the biggest stars in the world right now. You know, you couldn't argue not using him as the main centerpiece. You know what I mean?
Well, Joseph Quinn might be the villain. I mean, if he's just basically playing the role that Joaquin Phoenix played in the original film as the new
I don't know.
Whatever.
That could be fun.
If I'm casting this, who's the ruler? I'm putting Denzel because you know he can play a tremendous bad guy. I mean, he's got the chops. You know what I'm saying? He would be my Joaquin Phoenix in this film if I were, you know, doing anything. I mean, maybe
Joseph Quinn is playing the Roman Emperor Caracalla. I don't know my Roman history, so I don't know.
I don't either.
Who that is off the top of my head. I don't know anything about that person, but Denzel, I don't know. I kind of like him as a wise old man.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, he can be a badass. Because I just saw the trailer for Equalizer 3 a couple of days ago, and that was badass. He also does play a good bad guy. I mean, American Gangster and stuff like that. He was fantastic. And Training Day was phenomenal.
Oh, Training Day! I love that movie.
But at the same time, it's like I kind of like him just kind of being like some other slave. I know it might not look good because Hollywood's so PC.
It's just like
another slave or just somebody who's kind of in the peripheral, kind of guiding whoever the main character is going to be. I forget who it is. It's who did I say was running? Let's see. Oh hell, I forget. Mezcal, yeah. Paul Mescal, who's going to be the lead in the movie. So seeing him as like a kind of a not a parental, but kind of a mentoring kind of figure, someone who kind of helps him keep his moral North Star, kind of keeps him on the right path while he's doing that. Because that's kind of what Djimon Hounsou did for Russell Crowe in the first movie. So kind of this foil that gave him kind of this to help him keep respect on everything that was going on in the movie. So I could see Denzel doing something like that. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But I don't know. All I know is bring it. I mean, like I said, there's plenty of talent in this movie. Ridley Scott, I don't think he's going to screw this up as bad as he did the Alien prequels. I don't see him doing it. And there's lots of upside to this thing. Again, great talent, a really great engrossing story. It's a sequel to a movie that was really, really big. No, Russell Crowe is going to be a bit weird because he carries so much of the first film. You're going to have to make this film very, very different to make sure that you can kind of separate Russell Crowe from it and still have the kind of movie you want. But I don't know. I'm confident. I think it's going to be pretty good. You can't go wrong with this cast. I'm eager to see what Joseph Quinn does with this because, like I said, I'd hate to see him flame out after the great performance that he gave us in Stranger Things. I don't want to see his career come to an end too quickly. I want to see him really expand out and do some things. And I think, given his background in the theater stuff, I think this might be the perfect role for him to kind of get away from the Eddie image and start to do some other things and let people know that he can seriously act. It's the same thing with Daniel Radcliffe after the Harry Potter stuff was over.
Yeah.
It's like he even said, like, he
rough.
went and did stuff like Equius and stuff like that because he was like, I want you guys to see me act. I want you guys to see me. I don't want you guys just to look at me and see Harry Potter for the rest of my life. I want you guys to see how much work I put into this. And he's put out some absolute bangers outside the Harry Potter universe. He's put out some great performances.
What was it? The movie he played Igor in with the guy that played the younger Professor X. The Frankenstein movie. Did y'all ever see that?
I know what you're talking about.
I don't think.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't see it.
It came out. It came out maybe, I don't know, 10 years or no, maybe not 10 years ago. But Daniel Radcliffe, he played Igor, but it wasn't like your typical hunchback kind of ugly version. It was kind of a reimagining of it. But he kind of broke the mold and really stood out with that. And then Daniel Radcliffe did another one where there was like a ghost house. I can't remember. But yeah, we'll see.
Was it The Woman in Black? Because I saw that. Always muted. That was a good time to ask that question.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, no, I mean, Joseph Quinn, he played Eddie Munson once. Daniel Radcliffe played Harry Potter, 8 times or however many movies they did.
For like 10 years.
He's nowhere near typecasting yet, you know. So,
but you know what though, typecasting in Hollywood though, there is no parameters to when it happens. It either happens in 1 movie or 10 movies. But I mean, there are a lot of actors. I mean, look at Robert Downey Jr. I mean, he's honestly, I mean, you could say that he's been typecast as Tony Stark because it seems like he's in the Marvel stuff doing Tony Stark. He's crazy successful, but when he goes out and tries to do other films, those films don't do as well because a lot of people only really see him as Tony Stark now.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember all his shit from the 80s and stuff like that, which is really good. Right. But I mean, it's like, but a lot of people, I mean, like The Judge, I've heard a lot of people say that was a really good emotional film and nobody saw it. It's like,
what was that one he did with Jamie Foxx about the musician?
The Soloist.
The Soloist, yeah.
That was a great movie that a lot of people were like, why didn't this movie win a couple of Oscars? But it was like, I think that was just before he had done before he had been cast to play Iron Man. But it's like Zodiac.
So was Zodiac.
He's great
Zodiac.
Yeah. I mean, he kills it in that movie.
He almost even kind of like imbues his own like life and his own struggles. Like didn't he like went really downhill and they found him like he was drugged out in that trailer or some shit. And I'm like, I think he's pulling from real life. I'm like, hey, he's acting his ass off. Like, you know, you feel for his character. That was also, right before Iron Man, and that's a great movie. And also, it's hilarious since you have, I almost said Mysterio and Bruce Banner in that movie too. But hey, you know, semantics. Before he was Bruce Banner because it was still Edward Norton, but whatever.
Yeah,
but not Eric Bana anymore either. We don't talk about that one. That was
So typecasting doesn't just happen in a set parameter. It just kind of happens whether you want. And I don't want to see him get typecast as Eddie Munson. As much as I love him in that role, as I want him to get the opportunities, I just don't want him to get stuck in that thing.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of really, really great actors. They just kind of get stuck in this one rut of playing either one character or one kind of character. And that kind of becomes all the arm. When they want to branch out and do other things and explore creative stuff, people are like, we don't really want to see you do a serious role. We just want you to, you know, play the guitar with the long hair and the suit and the jean jacket and just shred and you know, fight Demogorgon bats and shit like that. That's all we really want to see out of you. It's like, well, the guy worked really, really hard to put himself in a position to get that role by doing other things. Let him do the other things now that he can.
By doing Stranger Things.
And and kind of explore himself as an actor a little bit. But I don't know.
Well, we talked about that when we talked. Well, I know hopefully that is the next story because that'll be hilarious to segue into. But we were talking about Adam Driver, like with Kylo Ren. We're like, well, is he going to be in Fantastic Four? We're like, well, as cool as it'd be to see him as Dr. Doom, like that might just be a little too much like him being Kylo Ren. So it's like, we don't really want that. I'd rather see him as Mr. Fantastic. That'd be kind of cool. See him be a good guy for once.
Because the thing is about, I don't know. There are some weird similarities between Kylo Ren and Doctor Doom. They both kind of start out kind of as good guys in a way.
Oh, and in space.
They kind of get corrupted by shit. Yeah, in space.
In space.
It actually probably be happening in space too, because you know they're doing the whole.
That's how they get their powers. So I mean, that's, you know what I'm saying. It'd be too close. I wouldn't go through that. So hopefully he's doing something different in that movie.
Well, I mean, the emotions would be different for the characters, I would imagine. But,
I guess.
Whatever.
But he goes up there and starts like mending some like fucking electricity. You're like, oh my god, look, Kylo Ren has lightning powers now. Ooh. You know what I mean? It'd just be too close.
True. But I don't know. Go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. It looks like they're adding some heavy muscle to the Gladiator 2, the sequel to the award-winning Gladiator from 2001 or something like that?
2000 or 2001. It was, right at the turn of the century, I think.
But I don't know, an awesome movie. I hope the sequel works. I think it could. I think if you can direct the story away from Russell Crowe's character, who's to say Russell Crowe's not going to have a cameo? I would imagine at some point
he's got to.
There's going to be a dream sequence or some shit like that, because he has those dream sequences in the Gladiator anyway, where he's dreaming about walking through the fields, he sees his family and all that. So who's to say he doesn't show up in a dream sequence? I don't know. I
didn't immediately have a pause about this. I'm like, no, you know what? This could be good.
True. But go down in the comments and let us know if you guys are excited to see Gladiator 2 come out in theaters. I don't know if it's got an exact release date yet, but I'm kind of excited to see it. But anyway, moving on to our next story. And the next couple of stories are going to talk about just how much of a terrible place Hollywood can be sometimes. Matthew Lawrence is opening up about a horrible experience that involved an Oscar-winning film director. During the latest episode of his Brotherly Love podcast, Lawrence recalled being offered a role in a Marvel production, but only if he stripped naked for a particular Oscar-winning director who he did not name. The actor didn't reveal any names or give any dates on when this encounter happened. Lawrence also mentioned the double standard that exists when male actors talk about sexual harassment versus female actors. Jeremy, I don't know how much you had a chance to look into the story, but what did you think of Lawrence's story and some of the things that he said of his experience?
Yeah, I didn't get to look into this too much. I know it is a big difference. Like, I know probably about this time last year, right? Going through all the trial with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, it's like there really is no. It's stupid, but there is a big difference between a female bringing this up as opposed to a male, especially in Hollywood. It's like, I don't know. Somebody would just look at it and be like, "Okay, dude." So, it's like, well, no, it's still. You shouldn't really. It still happened to you, and that's still kind of messed up. And it's like, again, I believe you. I understand why you probably didn't want to you don't want to just blast out all these details, but it is a funny point to bring up again that it's a weird double standard as he mentioned. But I mean, at the same time, can I really sit here and be like, oh, holy crap, that happened in Hollywood, our town? I mean, I'm not shocked because I'm fairly certain. I mean, well, I don't know if we're really the common Joes, but because we're into this kind of stuff. But it's like, I don't even think we know fully what's actually, how many times this probably does actually happen, or how many times it even gets mentioned. You know what I mean? Or even further than that, gets mentioned and then gets taken seriously or blown up into a whole thing. So, and you can't even deny, like, well, if this was a woman, it's like we'd be on some Weinstein levels of shit right now. But again, it should still be taken just as seriously. I don't know why. Again, it's why just because you have a different gender than somebody else, that someone just kind of goes like, okay. Or, damn, I missed a good Loki joke. Yeah, it's very sad. Anyways, I'm going to Comic-Con this weekend as Loki. I promise. I'm trying to get in the character still. Got to get there.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I was talking to my 15-year-old son, who is much better looking than me, and has a giant Cheshire cat smile that kind of envelops his whole face. He's a good-looking kid. And I was telling him, I was like, you know what? I've often thought. So what do you think? Do you think I should try to put you in front of a talent agent and see if you can get a couple of commercials or something, make you some money to maybe kind of start your life on eventually? And no sooner than me and him had this conversation than I get this notification on my phone with this story, and I'm just like,
maybe not.
maybe I would rather you just be poor than to have to deal with these terrible, lecherous fucking people that have taken over the Hollywood bubble.
Especially since he's still so young. You know, it's like sometimes you see some child actors, man, it does not turn out pretty sometimes. So.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. I've noticed that mostly it doesn't turn out pretty because either the parents are trying to live vicariously through the child, or the parents just aren't paying attention. I like to think that, you know, everything that some other child actors went through, you know, we've all heard like Corey Feldman stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like to think that those stories have become so prevalent and so public now that anybody who did want to get their kid into something like that now would be more vigilant. But I also just watched the Inside View podcast with Michael Rosenbaum with Will Wheaton, and some of the stories that he told about, you know, the way that his parents just didn't really seem to give a shit, and were even his abusers. Where I was just kind of like that, and that really wasn't that long ago. It was just like late 80s into the 90s. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't even want to put myself in a position to where I lose my perspective on things. So part of me is just like, just go to school and become a construction worker. Do something normal where you make a decent life for yourself. Don't get into all this stuff, because I mean, there's so much that kids get thrown at them these days. If they're growing up in benign circumstances, just on like any street in any town in the USA, to say nothing else of being in this place like Hollywood or LA, where, you know, so much shit gets thrown at you and the expectations are so odd to maintain your position in that world. But
I mean, I and yeah, it's weird that I even have to stop, like you said, stop, and I have to think about. I didn't even. I mean, your son's half my age, but it's weird that I'm like, I even kind of grew up in a different time than like he did. I have to remind myself, I'm like, oh yeah, I grew up like with the internet, like it was becoming what it was, and kind of a weird, wild wasteland, if you will, when I was, yeah.
The world evolves at a different speed as you move forward. It's like, because I remember, I've said it 100 times, if I had a camera phone when I was 12, 13 years old, I guarantee I'd got in so much trouble.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I mean, when I was 15, I'm like, it was different. And I'm like, I forget now that I'm like, oh yeah, some kid who, you know, never knew what the hell it was to, you know, you had dial-up or like your internet, you waited like 3 hours to watch like a 2-minute fucking video on YouTube of a bunch of stop motion Lego figures, which definitely didn't happen to me, but it was worth it. I really just wanted to watch that video. It was really fun. But I forget that I'm like, oh yeah, but they all have quick access to the internet. It's, you know, you're not waiting for anything. Everyone's got a phone, and we're all, the internet's one of those weird things where I'm like, it's good, but it's also, it has its downsides.
It's a tool like any other. What you choose to do with that tool is on you. I mean, you can go on, like I was telling somebody the other day, like it's just like Facebook is terrible. I was like, why? I was like, I've met people through Facebook that I probably wouldn't have met any other way.
Yeah,
it's like similar. You get into a group for like quilters. If quilting is your thing, you get to talk to these people from 2,000 miles away about different quilting techniques and different products to use, and you guys have this great shared experience together through the internet. Or you're a white supremacist. You're putting stupid points of view up online.
Yeah,
it's just a tool.
And that's what, and just like, I mean, you as well, definitely myself included, with like video gaming. Like I've met people that, you know, some I actually haven't met, but like I would consider really good friends, and some I have actually met, like that I met through gaming, and that are still, like I said, they're really good friends because we all bonded over doing the same thing. You know, it can be really cool, and it's hilarious that I actually the one that I did meet that I've known actually for a long time, constantly still talk to this day. Weirdly actually lives like somewhere near here, which is cool. I'm like, still haven't met this person, but then you get, you know, the supposed little 12-year-old who says he's gonna fuck my mom after the Call of Duty match. I'm like smoking his little badass cigarette on the porch. I'm like, whatever, dude, shut up.
You're like, whatever. But
or he might stalk me and dox my address and fucking come knocking on my door. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I really hope that what this Matthew Lawrence thing is a part of, because we've seen it the last several years with the Me Too movement. We've seen it the last several years with, you know, people like Kevin Spacey and some of the big executives in Hollywood who you may not know their names, but they are certainly the people that run the industry. They get called out for their misbehaviors, things they do or say that shouldn't be said or done. I'm hoping that people will start to turn a more observant eye towards these people. and Texas back now. But I'm hoping that means that we're turning a more observant eye towards this industry, and that hopefully the industry will be cleaned out. Because I mean, I say all the time when something like this comes up, it's like I try to separate the art from the artist. It's like I can look at Starry Night by Van Gogh and appreciate the painting, knowing that Van Gogh was like a womanizer who screwed anything with a pulse. That's how he got syphilis. That's why he went mad. So I separate the art from the artist. But at one point, it's like I'm not. It's not the art industry as a whole that is doing this, whereas it's pretty much the entire entertainment industry that for most of its existence, 100 years now, more than 100 years, more than a century, has almost, if not looked the other way, has almost actively promoted this kind of behavior. I mean, there's a million stories you can go read about, the 20s and 30s in Hollywood, the silent films into the talkies, where it was like, hey, you want this role in my new movie? Maybe you come up to my bungalow at the Paramount lot, and we do some stuff. If you want to get this role, that's not a story that just happened for the first time with people like Charlize Theron or anybody else who's brought that up in the last 10 years or so. That's been going on in Hollywood for a century, and they've always looked the other way or just openly said, do it, just don't get caught. And that's kind of. And I think that kind of thing needs to be exposed now. I think it needs to be cleaned up. Look, I'm not going to stop going to see movies because X director or X actor acted like an asshole towards.
You wouldn't be watching anything if you
wouldn't be watching anything.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, my problems
a piece of shit. I'm just saying.
Yeah, all my problems with Disney and the way they handle some things here and there. I'm still watching The Mandalorian. I'm still watching Star Wars. I'm still watching Marvel. I mean, whatever. I can't just turn that stuff off because I am still a fan. And it's not everybody in Hollywood. There are creators out there who do not behave like this. There are actors and actresses out there who do not behave like this. Mostly people who don't live in Hollywood. They go live somewhere. They work in Hollywood. They live somewhere else.
Outside the bubble.
Way outside the bubble. But I don't know. I'm really sad. Honestly, I'm kind of upset to a point that he didn't just go ahead and call this person out. I mean, I know that you have to be very careful because if things don't add up quite the right way, you're looking at some defamation or something like that. But and I've said the same thing multiple times about this whole Epstein client list thing. It's like, put everybody's name out. They all need to be caught. They all need to be punished or at least put on blast, because if you don't, then you're almost accepting the behavior and saying that it's okay. I don't know. Tex, I don't know if you've heard what we've been saying for the last few minutes. I think I just step away for a second. But, Matthew Lawrence went on his podcast and mentioned that he was offered a role in the MCU to strip naked and let somebody take some Polaroids of him, some Oscar-winning director. What do you think?
Well, I mean,
sounds like Dahmer.
It's like
I just want to take some pictures.
It's like you just touched on. I mean, let's not forget how. It wasn't too long ago that whole Nexium cult with Hollywood celebrities within it were part of stuff like this. I mean, like you said, going back to the golden age of Hollywood, and people like Terry Crews spoke out, and people didn't even take him seriously whenever someone as big and scary as he is was getting publicly grabbed and nobody cared. Obviously the Weinstein stuff. I mean, Rose McGowan, that's pretty much her whole thing now. She was a lifelong actress turned activist, and unfortunately this kind of stuff happens, but this is no secret. I mean, look at Scream 3. The whole plot of that film centers around Maureen Prescott was one of those girls in Hollywood that got passed around for an acting role, and that led to whatever. I mean, this is... It's vile, it's disgusting, and I mean, I haven't heard of anything from Matthew Lawrence since the 90s. Let's see, he was on Boy Meets World, wasn't that the TV show he was on?
Boy Meets World. He was on Friday Night Lights. I forget what all he did. He's done stuff.
Right. I mean, so it's it's a. This is never going to go away. It's like, people that, sit there and virtue signal about ending racism. Unfortunately, that's never going to happen. There's always going to be somebody nasty, somebody ugly that takes advantage of this. And, how many people go out to Hollywood with California dreams to be the next Batman or Superman? And, they get fondled in a hotel room and they have this thing happen to them. there's thousands of celebrities that I'm sure have very similar stories. You know what I mean?
Well, there's an argument to be made, though, that when you say it's never going to change, that's one of the reasons why it's never going to change. And we all just kind of throw our arms up in the air and be like, we can't really solve this problem.
Oh no, I'm not justifying it. I'm not justifying it. I'm looking at this from a more realistic angle. I mean, how do you stop it? How do you fix it? Yes, of course, the answer is arrest everybody who's ever done this and hang them at noon. I am totally in favor of that. Everybody that ever went to Epstein Island or Weinstein's office or whatever it is, take him out back and put 2 in the top. You know what I mean? But are we going to do anything about it? That's the thing. Or is this another story of a casualty that this has happened to? You know what I mean? I mean, what's your plan to actually fix this? You know what I mean?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I say I want him to come out with this name. I want him to say it was this director offering this specific MC, because it could have been somebody in the MCU. It could have been anybody. It could have been freaking anybody. So I want that name to come out, because when you punish somebody for anything, the punishment only really sticks if they feel it. So you have to punish the one of the things that means something to them, and we all know what means something to these people is their career and their money, their lifestyle. That when you live in LA, the LA lifestyle is a thing. So by taking away their ability to live that lifestyle the way they want, that's the only real punishment that's ever going to work. So let's say it was Kenneth Branagh. I don't think it was. Let's say it was Kenneth Branagh. I mean, Kenneth Branagh is a very creative guy. He makes these great movies. He made the first Thor. He made Belfast, which I think is one of the best movies I've seen in the last decade. But if you were to come out and say, this was the guy that did it, then his career goes away. Nobody's going to want to touch him again. And his creative desire is going to be completely destroyed. I mean, he might have enough money to live on for the rest of his life, but at the same time, it's like he doesn't want to just stop working. He wants to go create. So you take away the creative outlet. That's what they're going to feel. And if it's one of these executives or whatever, I mean, these guys are never going to get jobs again. These guys are now pariahs. They're not going to get. I mean, a guy can retire as the head of whatever studio and still get invited to the Oscars because they're invited to all the parties. But if you were accused of something like that and that was what was hanging on your neck as you walk out the door, you're not getting the invites to any of that shit again. You're not going to be a part of that life again. And that's
who was the director? Was it Woody Allen that married his adopted daughter or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Woody Allen to what was the guy of the X-Men movies? Bryan Singer, wasn't that his name?
Bryan Singer's got some stuff about little boys.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of big name people that are still active. That, I mean, what was the guy from House of Cards? Kevin
Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. Yeah, I mean, look at how big of a piece of garbage he is. And I mean, he finally got his comeuppance, but look how long that took. I mean, there are so many of these people. I as well subscribe to the whole separating the art from the artist. There's only one property that I cannot do that with, and that is Jeepers Creepers. Whenever the creator of that whole, the Creeper, the whole series, everything is a convicted pedophile, and he had pedophilic themes in those Jeepers Creepers films. I refuse to ever watch those movies ever again, because it didn't come out that he was a sexual predator until after those movies. Until I think after the first 2, I want to say, because the first 2 were really big. But once it came out what he did, it doomed the franchise. And yes, he's not attached to it anymore, but still, once it got that stank on it, you can't wash it off. And I mean, some people get away with it, some don't. But
that's what I'm saying. It's like when the allegations came out against him, he was pretty much blackballed from the industry.
Right.
So his creative outlets are no more. Nobody's going to work with him again. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy was cooking fries at the local McDonald's to make it now. That's what we need to push those people completely out of the industry and make examples out of people. I guarantee you let 1 or 2 names from the Epstein list leak, I guarantee the rest of those guys are all going to go underground.
Well, they allegedly had that whole Ghislaine Maxwell case. I still don't believe that ever happened, because you never saw any evidence of it. The closest that you ever got to see of proof was courtroom drawings. You never even saw a picture of her in court. But where's the Epstein list? I don't care if Trump is on it or who. I don't care who, left, right, or in the middle. like you said, I want them all drug out on the carpet, and let's bash them in the head with 2x4s till their brains are spilling on the carpet.
Yeah, but the thing is, Hollywood is still occupied by people who covered for Weinstein for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, I mean, there are stories about Meryl Streep catching him at parties and being like, hey, you need to back the fuck off this stuff because of whatever. And I'm like, why isn't Meryl Streep running to the papers and saying, look at this fucking guy and some of the bullshit he's getting into?
She was praising him after allegations came out at the Academy Awards or the Oscars or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, she was openly praising him. I mean, that doesn't age well.
There's the entire industry has allowed this to happen. It's gonna take a generation to kind of clean all this bullshit out, and even then, you're gonna have to stop the people that come in and just kind of like join that fraternity of people who allow it to happen because they want to make their careers and they don't want to shake the boat too much. So I don't know.
I don't think it's a generational thing, though. I think it's part of the makeup of this industry. I mean, like you said, going back to the golden age of Hollywood, it has, unfortunately, that line of work attracts a certain kind of person like that. And
I think it can change. I just don't think the people that are there now can do it.
It's not going to happen like soon.
It's not going to happen overnight. Just because Harvey Weinstein got pinched for this stuff doesn't mean that it's going to stop. It's going to be prominent in Hollywood for a while, but there has to be this other generation of people, especially executives. They're going to come in and be like, "No, this isn't the way we're going to do things anymore." They have to get together and say, "We're going to squash this shit now, so that we can not have to deal with it going forward." Because if they don't, then it's going to keep just festering under the surface of Hollywood.
Well, here's the problem, though. And it's not just a Hollywood culture; it's our culture as well. We idolize celebrity, and I don't mean specifically us, but us as a whole. And we worship these people like they're almost, some people do, like they're better than us. Like, oh, well, because you played Wonder Woman in a movie, you get to tell me how I need to think politically, how I need to live and do everything X, Y, and Z, like your opinion matters any more than mine does. We have to change our mindset as well, because the only way that they get any power is through us giving it to them or financially. Well, the money's going to be there no matter what. Unless you go pay to see that movie, that's the only way you can affect it. But, well, I mean, that's why people say you vote with your dollar, right? But we need to stop idolizing celebrity as a whole to kind of battle that, don't you think?
Yeah, but that's not easy to do while still being a fan of a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Oh, believe me, I'm a big fan of Affleck's Batman. But him and I very much differ politically. His ideology and mine. I mean, I've listened to him screaming on Real Talk with Bill Maher and all this whatever. I could not disagree with him more on just about on anything. But the way he played Batman is my favorite version. So once again, art from the artist kind of thing, right? But
he also hasn't committed some of the acts that some of these other people have, though.
Well, and actually, if you dig, he's on a few of those lists, including Epstein, if you really wanted to look.
I don't think anybody knows who's on Epstein's list. There's a lot of people out there that say that this name is on there, that name's on there.
A lot of the rumors that were thrown around about people like Spacey and others, Affleck has also been mentioned on the same list.
Yeah, they're rumors. Unless you show me the list, I'm not going to buy any of those names.
But yeah, no, I agree. But I mean, my point is, we idol worship, whether they're sports stars, celebrity, influencers. We need to stop having influencers. I think that's the biggest problem here, because if we don't let them influence us, that takes their power away. I mean, this is almost like a Freddy Krueger thing. If we don't give them power, they have none over us. And, once they're took down a peg, hey, you know what? Some stuff might start to come out.
Yeah, I really hope that he ends up coming out with this guy's name publicly, because I think he should. Especially if they're, I mean, honestly, without proof, it would be probably kind of unwise to do, because it is one person's and others. But I mean, how else do you start to make this kind of a thing right unless you come out with a name and make it public and say, yeah, it was this person that did this, and I don't care if they come after me, let them. They can have all my money. They can have whatever the hell they want. I want the name to be out there.
Now, okay, he was offered an MCU role. So this would be Disney, somebody within the Disney organization.
Maybe not. Disney didn't buy the MCU until around the end of Phase 1 or something like that. So
yeah,
so it may have been long enough ago
right after Iron Man 1, right? Something I can't remember.
I don't remember. They haven't owned the MCU for the entirety of the MCU, so it could have been Disney. It could have been somebody. It could have been Kevin Feige, for all anybody knows. I mean, who knows? But
yeah, I mean, well, let's see. Universal owns Hulk. Sony has all the Spider-Man stuff. Until recently, Fox had X-Men and Fantastic Four. So
they didn't say that it was an MCU director. They just said an Oscar-winning director.
Who
offered him an MCU role. So it didn't say it was somebody who had actively directed an MCU film. So maybe it was just somebody who was in line to direct a film, and he was like, "Hey, let me take some gross pictures of you, and maybe when I make this movie, I make you whatever character, give you a prominent role."
But, or he could have just totally been bullshitting him, and when he came in the room,
a fucking liar,
right?
I can get you in the MCU, and he comes in the room, and there's that little black couch we all definitely don't know about. And I'm like, oh, we're doing that,
right?
Okay.
I mean, he could have just been, I mean, he could have been bullshit right through it.
And just to make it,
but he's got the eyes going in the right direction, where everyone's like, oh, wait a minute, this happened. So tread carefully in there.
To make very clear, this. I mean, some people will sometimes say, well, maybe this one person misunderstood what somebody else was saying. Here's a direct quote from this podcast. There have been many times in my life where I've been propositioned to get a huge role. I lost my agency because I went to a hotel room, which I can't believe they would send me to, of a very prominent Oscar award-winning director who showed up in his robe, asked me to take my clothes off, and said he needed to take Polaroids of me. So it wasn't like this was a case of he said, "Hey,
this
how
is
you doing?"
literally.
I took that as being sexual, whatever. This person walked up in a robe, was like, "Take your clothes off, I want to take some pictures."
That's some Jeffrey Dahmer shit, seriously.
Yeah,
that's literally what that NXIVM cult was. The celebrities that were in it, they couldn't be a part of it until they had the blackmail photos of them. This is literally the exact same thing.
He did add, and then if I did X, Y, and Z, I would be the next Marvel character. He doesn't specify which one. I didn't do that, and my agency fired me because I left this director's room. So not only that, but the agency was coming to bat.
So we need that agency call on the carpet as well.
Right.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
it's a mess.
I mean, at this point, I think this kind of stuff is so ingrained in film and Hollywood, and not just movies, but television, anything in the entertainment. I mean, even in pro wrestling, going back to the 70s, there's kind of this kind of stuff from Pat Patterson and Vince McMahon rumors and everything else. Entertainment, this is, like I said, it attracts a certain kind of person, and unfortunately, these predator types. They get a lot of times they get into these kind of businesses, and it may be so ingrained that the only way to get rid of it is to literally blow it all up and restart. Unfortunately, I mean it's how do you get corruption out of the U.S. government? Well, there's only one way, and it's not by draining the swamp. We tried that. We saw how that went, but I mean, I don't know what you do besides just restarting and. Get real old school with the people that deserve it.
Well, unfortunately, the only real way to fix this is just, like I said, expose these people, ruin their lives,
right,
and set the example for the people that come after that, and say, if you engage in this kind of behavior, your career is going to go away too. And you're gonna lose your dream. Everything that you want, desire, is going to be ripped from you, and that's going to be it. So don't engage in this behavior. Unfortunately, I don't see anybody doing that because it's so ingrained in the system. Like we said, 100+ years now of come up to my room if you want this role, whatever. So I don't know. Hopefully it'll change eventually, but I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime.
Well, I will say one thing. If when the whole Me Too movement happened with Harvey Weinstein and all that, you saw people getting up in arms because a bunch of women were speaking out. If those same people don't get just as upset as they did over Matthew Lawrence doing it, then that's how you know where those people actually stand. So, whether you're male, female, that doesn't matter in this kind of situation. If you're being sexually threatened with your livelihood of you either X, Y, and Z, or you're not gonna get work. That you need to hold the line here, people. All these activists that get out and scream "Me Too" and believe all women and all the things that they did. Well, are you going to believe all men too? Because now you've got a guy that was kind of a big deal in the '90s, and yeah, he hasn't had the biggest career, but this ain't right.
I don't know. Go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Matthew Lawrence made some pretty hefty accusations. None of them should really be surprising. I mean, we've known about. It's been public now for about the last 10 years what kind of people really exist in Hollywood. But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think of his comments and what you guys think can be done to maybe fix some of this stuff in Hollywood. It's not going to be an easy fix. It's not going to be a quick fix, but something's definitely got to be done. Or else you're just going to see people start to kind of walk away from those kinds of things. But then again, with the advent of the internet and YouTube and streamers and stuff like that, there's a lot of different ways to put yourself out there and become famous. So maybe there's a little bit out there you can say, well, you don't even need Hollywood to be famous anymore. You don't need New York to be famous anymore. You can do it from wherever now and kind of get your fame that way. And even kind of control most of your own destiny, not be under contract to a
it's never been easier to be an independent artist. I mean, look at how many. I mean, Robert Rodriguez, he pretty much does. I mean, besides the work that he does with Mandalorian, all of his films he produces out of Texas down here. You're seeing, a lot of other states. Utah's got a bunch of them. A bunch of these Hollywood bigwigs have walked away from that filthy town, and they're doing their own thing elsewhere.
Well, they're also getting gigantic tax breaks. I mean, there's a lot of
course, yeah,
incentives to go into these places.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, that's not even the point of it. Is like you just said, you don't have to depend on big Hollywood anymore to do anything. Whether you're a singer, a movie star, or whatever. You can do it on your own these days.
You can be famous for shaking your ass on TikTok these days. You only have to go to try.
I mean, you can go take bleach tablets and do planking and get famous on the internet now. It doesn't even take Hollywood anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think of Matthew Lawrence's comments. On to our next story now, and as I pull up my thing. Yeah, this is one, again, this is just I'm going to go into a tirade as to why Hollywood can be full of assholes. For the first time in over 50, Hollywood's writers are going out on strike. The Writers Guild of America announced that a work stoppage would begin Tuesday afternoon after negotiations with the labor group representing studios and streamers faltered on Monday night. In Los Angeles, members began picketing Tuesday at locations including Amazon, Disney, CBS, and other studios, as well as the NBC studios in New York. The two parties have not yet scheduled a future date to return to the bargaining table. The decisions will have an immediate impact on the late night shows, which rely on up-to-the-minute writing from WGA members on the latest news developments. But if the strike goes on for a longer period of time, the WGA has warned that it could set back the network TV season, as scribes for all fall premieres tend to start work in May or June. Jeremy, whose side are you on the writer's strike?
Well, this is always the fun part about being in, a guild or a union. It's like, why can't we just all? I know now I'm just tired of this fucking why can't we just all get along? Man,
agreed, my friend.
I get it, but I don't know. I think more so like you said that. With these situations, and it gets kind of touchy, and the longer it goes on, the more this kind of blossoms out and starts affecting other shit. So y'all better shake hands soon, because it's gonna get messy again. And we're after having just gone through this pandemic and having everything be kind of put on hold. It's like, okay, we're tripping again. We're on another roadblock here. I don't know. I abstain from the question. I don't really know. I'm just like, I don't know. I just hate seeing shit like this happen, because this wasn't the thing that happened a few years ago, right? What was that? I swear it was.
This happened like 15 or so years ago.
The last WGA strike was 15 years ago. There was, I think it was, who was it?
Another writer strike or something?
Yeah, right before the pandemic, there was another strike of somebody in one of the unions in Hollywood. It wasn't the writers, or maybe they were close. I don't know. Maybe they were close to something. I don't know. But there was something else that had threatened to slow down production for a while before the pandemic, but it all got worked out in the end.
That's what
relatively quickly. I don't know. Tex, what do you think? I mean, I don't know how much reading up you've done on this, but whose side are you coming down with all this?
I'm not a union guy. I mean, my granddaddy was union worker. He had a lot of, almost a year and a half of his work took away because of unions. But for this issue, I would side with the Writers Guild of America or whatever. From the research that I've done looking into this, it's actually pretty interesting because there's two main things that keep coming up with this. It's these AI, and I'm sure y'all have heard of this, but these AI written scripts that they keep talking about pushing and everything else. Why do we even need writers? And hey, we can just, hey, Google, type us a script for a Batman movie, and Google spits it. And I'm just saying Google, but you know what I mean. You know, the technology spits it out. You don't have to have a writer anymore. You're eliminating that job. And then the second issue was streaming rights, like who gets paid. Apparently, these writers aren't getting paid for the streamings of these products that they're doing. I would assume that the CEOs of the Netflixes and the Disney Pluses and the whatever, it's not like regular television. It's, who gets credited and who gets paid is a separate model from traditional television streaming. And I mean, this is just natural growing pains because we've changed the model. Now you don't have, I mean, yes, you still have traditional television, but so much of the stuff now is, this season is streaming on Disney Plus, Mandalorian season 4 upcoming, whatever it is, whatever. And I see why the writers are doing this, because if you're trying to eliminate their jobs with this AI tech crap, which I don't know how much of this AI stuff y'all looked into, but it's some scary stuff. They can deep fake anything and make you believe anything's going on.
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, I mean, first it was Photoshop, and then it was like, oh, you can't believe shit anymore. And it's like, well, you can't have a show like America's Funniest Home Videos because anybody could do a triple backflip up a fucking rock now because it's like, oh, that didn't really happen.
I mean,
there's nothing genuine.
You can Photoshop anybody into doing anything now. But
yeah, like there's some that are really convincing, like this de-aging shit and this fucking making.
Yeah. Just look at the newest Indiana Jones trailer.
Yeah.
If you didn't know Harrison Ford wasn't 100 and you just saw that trailer, you would think he was that age.
Yeah, you think
know what I'm saying?
Like footage they shot back in the 80s and never used or something.
Right.
Like, holy shit.
So if not only AI can now make the people look pretty on camera, but they can also write the scripts to make those people look pretty on camera, why do you even need writers anymore? And
I'm telling you, that movie I, Robot is no goddamn joke. That's one of them cautionary tales. Like, why are we even doing this?
The smarter the technology get, the stupider the people get. That's just the way life goes. Whether it's cell phones, computers, whatever it is.
Terminator.
And yeah, right. I mean, we are literally in the beginning of Skynet. Skynet has been activated. This is what we're in.
Wasn't Skynet Day like last year or year before last?
Something like
the day the machines took over.
Like, wasn't it actually recently? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we need to find Sarah Connor and get her knocked up immediately. Like, it is almost good.
Kyle, you got a job to do, man.
Where is Kyle Reese? We need to find this guy. But I mean, this is, like I said, I'm with the writers on this because, just on a small scale, go to your local Walmart. Tell me how many people are checking you out of at the checkout counter anymore, and how many self checkouts do you see? Because the computer takes care of it for you. Yeah. This is just the next job that's being phased out by technology. How many people lost jobs on the factory line because a machine can do it better? Or the idiot at McDonald's wants $15 to make hamburgers. Guess what? We don't need you anymore. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, Patton Oswalt did a funny bit about that too. And he saw one of those automated the self-checkouts, and he was just like, this poor girl has to come in here now and explain this thing that now does what she used to do.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, that's fucking depressing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, that's the whole thing. Is if let's say Universal Studios, they want to make a new Halloween movie, right? And they need a script written. Why are they going to pay some guy $20,000 to write it or $10,000 for a script? If they just go to their flunkies working in the computer room and say, "Hey, I need a Halloween script. Make me one." You know what I mean?
To be fair, though, some of this AI is not exactly the most intelligent sometimes. So sometimes it just kind of contradicts itself and lies to you and tries to gaslight you.
Well, of course, it's
like,
not a perfect system, but it's a cheaper system. That's the point.
I know, but that's why you still need someone to proofread this shit to make changes. Or something may come up later, and you're like, "Oh, that sounds a lot better. This would have worked." It's like it's not going to do that. So I understand what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can spit something out, but then you're like, that's not how you spell the word adjudicate. What the hell? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Look at your fast food places. You used to have a crew of 8 people to work the drive-through line and make burgers. Now you need 3 employees,
Like
and a computerized system makes the stuff, and those 3 employees are basically just making sure that the computers do what they're supposed to do. So how many people lost a job? That's why these writers are doing this.
I guess if I can default back to the question, I mean, like, I'm always just kind of on that side of, the person who's getting screwed. I'm like, I'd rather,
of course,
eat the rich, fuck this big company, get the hell out of my face. Like, why are you throwing me under? Because I always can tie this back to video games. This happened in a game. One of the first places you come to on this planet is this little company town. It's got the big factory where, of course, it's like people being worked to damn death their whole life. It's not running much else except for that, and it's kind of shitty. And you're like, huh, you know what you could do? You could either help them and help that company do. It's like a canning business. They can meat or whatever the hell in this galaxy far, far away, which I didn't just say. You know what I mean? Or it's a fun game. It's called Outer Worlds. It's very cool. But yeah, it's kind of like it's made by the same people who made Fallout New Vegas. So it's very much it's basically Fallout in space. But like I said, you have the choices. You can, or it's like you can say, "Hey, screw you! There are people that defected away from this town and this company because they were being treated so poorly." And you're like, "No, we're gonna do our own thing. Screw you!" And of course, we're like, your ship crash lands, and you're like, "Well, I'm here," and they're like, "Hey, new guy or girl, how about you go and convince those people to come on back?" I'm like, I was like, "Oh my god, well, I have been those people," and I'm like, "Screw you! You can totally just flip all the power off, cut that whole goddamn town, bring it to its damn knees, and say, you know what, fuck you, get out of here. I'm rewriting the power to these people because they deserve to live." And I'm like, yeah. Have
you ever been reading like an article online or something like that, and like the grammar's off, or you wonder how did you ever proofread this shit? Let that error go through because it stands out. Those are the ones that are actually written by AI, and they're not proofread very well. And then whatever asshole journalist doesn't bother looking at it either. They just slap their name on it, put on the byline, and then there's usually
I've got a Twitter account. I can be a journalist, right? Yeah, how it works is this.
That's what I've read some, because like Drew had a couple of these on Derailed. It's like as he's reading them, and he's like, and I even said out loud, I'm like, AI written, and like I don't know if anybody caught it, but it's like that's the kind of shit that you get from a computer. Look, there are some things that the writers say that they want that I think are dumb, but ultimately, I hope the writers stick it in the studio's asses and break it off, because there was a story that I had heard yesterday. I think John Campy was talking about it. But there was a writer for one of the really big shows. I want to say it was The Wire. One of the shows was terribly popular and everybody loved, who went up to accept his Emmy Award in a tuxedo and bow tie that he had to get from Goodwill that day because he was broke, sleeping on a friend's couch. And I'm like, so you just wrote this thing that has made this company millions of dollars, and you're going to consignment stores while the actors, what they play an important part in all this, while the actors are up there in custom-made Armani suits that cost $40,000, $50,000 or whatever the hell the guys spend on suits, that are up there getting all these big awards, and writers don't really get a lot of attention. They don't get a lot of money compared to what mean, they're the creators. They're the ones you can't create a complex character or a complex story in a computer. That is somebody who sits there and does real research and observes people, observes situations or moments in time, and decides to write a story on those things and takes these different elements and puts them together in a way that can only be considered high art. This is why I've always said I'm a bigger fan of songwriters than I am singers. I can jump my ass in front of a microphone and scream lyrics to a tune, but the songwriters are the real artists. That's why I've always said I've been a much bigger fan of songwriters than I am singers, because the songwriters are the real artists. Sometimes singers write their own stuff and they're very good, and that's fine. But for the most part, a lot of people don't write their own shit. And it's disappointing that these guys, that I have to hear a story like this, when this guy has written God knows how many episodes of a TV show that has made millions of dollars for its parent company, and this guy's like, oh, well, we gave you $2,000 for your work. It's like, come on, what the fuck is that all about? That makes no sense to me. The one thing that stands out to me from the writer's perspective I don't agree with is they want a hired in full-time paid writing cast of 6 to 12 writers for every scripted show. That to me is kind of ridiculous, because
6 to 12 writers per show.
Yeah, of paid on-staff writers that are actually hired by the studio. Look, I think that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, having 3 to 4 staff writers and then a couple people that are interns, you staff some stuff out, makes more sense to me. But I mean, do I really want 12 people writing 10 episodes of The Mandalorian a year? Do I really want 12 people writing 9 episodes of Stranger Things? It's like it's very rare these days. Even the major production companies are getting away from the 23 episode per season runs. They're limiting it to like 15 to 18. So you don't need that many people tripping over each other to try to get a line in the script. That now maybe there are some productions that need that. If you've got something that goes 25, 30 weeks of a season, maybe you want to have some people around and maybe have 2 crews working on like a script, different scripts at a time, so you get the writing done a little more efficiently. That makes sense. But like I said, 9 episodes of Stranger Things, 10 episodes of Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett or whatever.
Well,
do I need 12 people tripping on themselves in the writer's room trying to figure out what the next line that Mando's going to say? I mean,
look at this last season of Mandalorian.
This is the way. I just don't.
Well, look at this last season of Mandalorian. Look at how much of a roller coaster that was. Depending on who wrote and directed particular episodes, some were just awesome and others were Jack Black and Lizzo, because that's creative. So I mean, it's look at let's take the Halloween movies here. Halloween 1 and 2 and 3 to a certain extent were John Carpenter. He had his hands directly on them, either directing the first one or helping write, doing the music, whatever it was. Then it got passed on, and then 100 different hands touched it. The more different people you have working on something, the quality is going to be different. It's going to feel differently. And with these AI written stuff, it's going to feel cold. It's going to feel. It's not going to have the emotional side to it. It's not going to. It's not human. Generated. So it's just like I said. I'm not a big union striker guy. Like I said a minute ago, but like you said, Frank. I hope they break it off at them, because the CEO of Netflix. I wonder how much he got paid for the hit that Stranger Things has been. But how much did that writer make? How much did the director make? How much did the whatever?
Well, Stranger Things might not be the best example. I think it was mostly written by the Duffer Brothers anyway. I mean, I'm sure they had some
right, but
but not
put in whichever property you want. The point is still the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Writers historically have been shit on in Hollywood. Now, I've said it a bunch of times. Robert Meyer Burnett says, in Hollywood, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. So, I mean, I could write a script and if I sell it to Universal for $10,000 and they say, this is mine now, not yours, that's fine. If we agree upon a price, whatever. I think what needs to start happening is writers need to say, oh, you want to pay me $10,000 for my script? How about you pay me $1 million for my script? Because I know that you're going to hand this over to other people who are going to touch it up and polish it up, and you're going to turn it into a movie that's going to make $400 or $500 million in theater, or it's going to run for 4 or 5, 6 seasons on your show or your channel, and it's gonna you're gonna be paying these. And look at Friends. I mean, all those people are getting paid $1 million an episode towards the end. I mean, if you're going to pay that much money for that, it's like you got to start paying me as well. So there needs to be, I think, something worked into a deal saying that you can buy a script for so much money, and then you also have to pay me this much money if it gets picked up if you make a pilot, and then you have to pay me this much money if it gets ordered to series, and then maybe if it goes 3 or more years, you pay me this much money. Same thing with movies. You can buy my script for $10,000, but if you make a movie, I automatically get another $1 million, and maybe I get some back end points for whatever the movie makes. That's going to have to be something that starts happening because. I mean, I don't want to give writers too much because they are a part of the creative process, not all of it, but they're a pretty damn important part. They're like they're the initial step that kind of builds.
A good worker is worth his pay. I'm not saying you give them all the money, but they deserve what they've earned. And I mean, the entertainment industry has really changed ever since COVID and the lockdowns. Obviously, we couldn't get in theaters, right? So what did they do? Oh, same day release. Well, what was the result of that? They had to renegotiate how many days a movie sits in the theater before it goes to Peacock or whatever. I mean, didn't Scarlett Johansson sue about this as well? I mean, there's been
a lot of that was because Disney did not contractually handle some things. So it wasn't that necessarily that they went day and date with it and put it out on Disney Plus. It was it directly violated the contract that she had written, which in all fairness to Disney, I mean, yeah, they fucked up the way they handled it, but also when that contract was signed, there was no hint of COVID or pandemic.
Right. Well, that's what I'm talking about.
The theater. So that was more that Disney screwed up handling a contractual thing, not really about any creative stuff.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. We had the lockdowns, and then we live in an era of streaming. Well, we haven't ironed out all of the details of who gets paid for what. Well, like you were just saying, if a show goes 5 seasons streaming, the writers get X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. We haven't. These are the growing pains that I'm talking about that have not been ironed out and figured out yet, because it's a complete different model from what it used to be.
I was gonna say my example is like something that I went to school for a definite hot minute was for aviation maintenance. I was like, wait a minute, who's more important? The guy who fixed the plane and make sure it can fly, or the guy who got all the glory for flying the plane there in the first fucking place, the pilot? I'm like,
well, both. Right. But I mean, I'm not saying that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who gets more? Like, who's kind of more important in this situation? The guy that can fly the plane, or the guy that makes sure that guy can fly the plane?
That's what I was saying, though, is that everybody plays a part in this creative. Everybody plays a part in this creative process.
Yeah.
But by saying that this person's part is worth millions and this person's part is worth a couple $1,000,
yeah, it's dumb.
That doesn't seem, I don't want to say fair because I don't think the life is fair. I don't think it should be.
No,
that doesn't seem like you're
not a good.
It doesn't seem like you're paying a person for their intellectual property. You know what I mean?
Well, and to be fair, the thing with Friends is they weren't all getting paid the same amount. To begin with, and they all kind of started the six main cast members talked to each other, and they were like, wait a minute, yeah, we're not getting paid the same. This is kind of dumb. They did. Anyone who's known the show, they know that they all got together and they said, like, look, we're not going to do this unless you all pay us at least the same, this bigger wage. And that's by the end of the show, yeah, they were all getting like $1 million an episode. So it's like it's kind of the same thing. I'm like, if you, like you just said, like if you want to negotiate that, then you're gonna have to, like they did, you have to band together and start saying, hey, look, we want it to be like this. If we're going to get paid, we all might as well at least get paid what we're worth.
Well, it all comes down to one simple fact: who has the leverage? Is it the studios or is it the writers?
Right now it's the writers.
Yeah, right. Like you got more people. Have you ever seen a movie A Bug's Life? That's what it's like.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. And like this is where it gets very sticky and very political, and ideologies start coming into play here. Are you capitalist or communist? It can go one way or another. I'm as anti-communism as anybody is, But at the same time, you have to stand up for your workers. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a workers' party, but that's why I'm not a union, because I don't. If all three of us work for the same place, I don't want to be held to a standard you said. I want to be on my own deal. I don't like that union thing. That bothers me. But
unions can be your best friend or your worst enemy. I think
they can be your best friend if they're actually fighting for you, not monetarily.
I don't want to say that all unions are bad, because there are unions out there. I know people that are in some unions that they try really, really hard to come out for the people that are their members. No, that's great. There are other unions that obviously they're just out there to get money. They're out there to pad their pockets and to screw, like the auto companies. One of the reasons why the auto companies found themselves in such trouble they did 10, 15 years ago was because they let the unions negotiate them $45 an hour wages for the guy who stands in the line for 8 hours a day, and all kinds of other things that cost them a ton of money. And that's why a car went from being $4,000 or $5,000, a brand new car, to being $45,000, because they got to pay these people, and that's how much it costs. That's supply and demand and all that, and how you make profit. But I mean, I right now I would think that they have all the leverage. I mean, because like it says in this article, if they don't start back in the next probably month, if they don't get back in the writers' room the next month, there is going to be no fall TV season. I mean, maybe it would be delayed, but I mean, if they don't get back in there soon, a lot of the stuff for the fall hasn't been written yet.
You know, something that's kind of oddly funny. Do y'all remember the Justice League movie that was supposed to be directed by George Miller? Did y'all ever read about that?
I've heard a lot of talk about it, yeah.
Well, that movie got killed because of a writer's strike. I mean, they even had people cast. They had like crew shots of who was going to be who in the Justice League and everything else. And that ended up not happening because of a writer's strike. And what's happening right now with DC? Well, apparently James Gunn just turned in his first draft of a script for a new DC movie that's going to set everything up. So, you know, DC, once again, the Cleveland Browns of the comic book world, they just have the best timing, right? So, I mean, let's say this thing drags out, you know, I mean, do they find scab? Are people willing to scab and cross a picket line to write these things? And how does that affect them? You know what I mean?
You know what I need now? I need a custom, like, fake jersey, like football jersey of just DC shit, but like in Cleveland Browns colors. Like I need that.
You need a orange and brown and white DC logo jersey. That would be
that's what I'm saying. Like maybe the number could be like the year the comic book the company was founded. I don't fucking know.
Right.
I see it now. I definitely.
And the number on the back will be forever on the nameplate, and it'll say number 2. Just on the back of it, because they always somehow come in behind. You know, I mean, that's the whole thing. Think about, something like the MCU. How many writers does it take to fund that whole universe with all 25 projects that they have going at one time? If they want 6 to 12 writers per deal, good Lord, that's a lot of people.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we saw that. We saw that in She-Hulk, right? Remember, she went in there and she saw the whole room.
She went in the writer's room, yeah.
And
I've heard people make that joke. They're like, maybe as bad as that show was, maybe they were giving us a glimpse of the future in that.
The one moment of that show that was actually kind of on point. I'm like, yeah, you're right, and you still managed to mess this up. Damn it.
Odds are, and I would almost guarantee this. These writers are asking for more, knowing they're not going to get it. But they're going to get a little bit less. They're going to come meet in the middle. They're going to shake hands and smile real pretty at the cameras, and then it'll be business as usual.
Well, the probably going live. What's working against the writers is that the writers don't necessarily have the money to wait this thing out. The production companies do.
Yeah.
Because worst case scenario,
there's your leverage.
Because worst case scenario, they can go find some fan fiction that Jeremy wrote about whatever TV show, and they call him and be like, "Hey, while these guys are on strike, you want to come be our scab?" For those of you who remember that term from the 80s, 84.
I'll scab. Please hire me right now, DC.
It's more than I'm probably making right now. So
I've got so many.
And that's the thing. That would probably be what ended up happening. Because because as Jeremy is somebody who's just trying to get his break in the business, they're like, hey, wait a minute, now they want to talk to me, sure. And then maybe when all this kind of plays itself out, maybe there'll still be a spot for me, or at least if nothing else, I've gotten some exposure, I've gotten to network with some people, some of my work is out there that I can show out, and that's a big help for his career. But these other people are just like, they're trying to warn us. They're like, hey, what kind of career are you getting into where they're going to pay you $2,000 for something they're going to make $150 million off of?
Yeah.
And not try to give you anything on the back end, not try to help you turn this into a money make, into a career that you can live comfortably on. Not to say one's going to make you rich, just live comfortably. I mean, like I said, this guy went to Goodwill or some consignment store to get his tux and his bow tie to go get an Emmy. It wasn't like he won like some local web award or some shit like that, or was given an honorary whatever from the Moose Lodge. This guy was given an Emmy. This is like the highest award you can get for your work in television in the world. And this guy was wearing a Goodwill tuxedo. It's like, come on, start paying these guys and help fuel that creative process is what I'm saying.
I've got ideas for about 2 or 3 legitimate horror franchises right now, Hollywood. Email or hit me up on Twitter at @SlasherVision. I'm willing to scab. I will sell out. So but I won't do the Matthew Lawrence thing. Don't invite me to your hotel room because that's not happening.
Right.
So don't even get that idea.
Yeah.
But
I was about to say that next. I'm like, when we're talking about back on the AI thing, I was gonna say we were talking about this whole zombie thing because I showed her Dawn of the Dead for the first time, the 2004 remake, and then I shared something in the text, and I was like, something that I know. I watched it again after a few years, and I'm like, damn, this movie is so fucking, it's amazing. But I showed text this thing that I had seen on YouTube. It's I'm pretty sure it's an independent zombie, like short zombie film.
Zomblies.
Yeah.
Weird title. I don't like the title. I would have renamed it.
Lies, or I said Lees because it rolls.
Zomblies. Zomblies is what
I get where they were going with it because it's like, crap, they were just gonna kill them all. Sorry, spoiler alert. But you know what I mean.
Right.
But I'm like, this is a very cool, well-made thing.
Still watch those badass.
And it's funny because like Tex said some stuff to me, and then while I was at work today, I was like, I was really having like these new brainwaves of this thing that I wanted to do, zombie related. And I was like, I wanted to do something the way it was playing out in my head, and I'm like, well, I want it to be set in a specific video game universe with these zombies, but I'm like, but how I'm doing this, I'm like, this sounds almost like some Walking Dead type shit. I'm like, this doesn't really quite fit. It just happens to be in that same. I'm like, no, wait a minute. I re-rolled the whole thing in my head, and I'm like, holy crap, wait, it works. So just something Tex said. I'm like, see, the AI doesn't know who the hell Tex is. I got all that out of my head. I was like, wait a minute. This could work. This could work. That could be a nod to this. This could be a nod to that. I'm like, hey, you know what? I even threw in a character. I'm like, you know what? I would only want Tex to play that character, and I'm sure he would love it. I'll probably tell you about it later. But like, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, that would be cool. You know what I mean? So that's where you're losing out, is like, that's the genuine, human input that you're not going to get.
A computer can recreate everything except for emotion. And we've all seen passionless movies or television shows where, like you said, like, okay, Frank, go back to the early in this episode. You're talking about how you didn't want to see Jennifer Lawrence acting because she was just faking her way through it because she was just didn't want to be there. Well, that's what AI is doing. It's literally a machine that it can spit out a script about Indiana Jones fighting Super Mario Brothers if you wanted to. But does it have heart? The best movies have that extra, that element to it.
And on top of that, even if you had AI try to write a script, you would still need at least a writer or 1 or 2 writers to go over it and polish the AI shit out of it. Like I was talking about with those articles earlier. You would need somebody to be like, I know AI said that this character is going to do this, but it actually makes more sense narratively to do this. So you would still need writers anyway. So why not just give somebody a blank page and a piece of paper and say, write me a movie instead of going to the AI? Because it might cut down the time a little bit, but really, are you going to sacrifice the quality to make sure a script is done in 2 weeks instead of 2 months?
We live in a throwaway society. Think about how cars were made 50 years ago. You had gifted people putting these machines together so well that you still have some of those same cars on the road today.
Uh-huh.
Well, what are cars made about today? their throwaway. Oh, well, the computer chip, blah blah blah, went out, so just go get a new one. You know, it's not about quality over quantity anymore. And this is, I mean, like I said, this may just now be hitting Hollywood, but this has affected everything from fast food to factory lines to production to everything. You know, this is just the next casualty in this AI Skynet world that we live in. That, hell, I'm pretty sure there's probably AI doing YouTube channels right now. I mean, it is what it is.
Probably.
So,
you know, they had the whole AI rap thing a while back. Remember, you guys ever hear about this? Somebody made a rap song with two popular rappers. It was all done AI. Yeah. The rappers had nothing to do with it, and somebody released it. Ended up getting like on the Billboard charts. And somebody was like, "Wait a minute, when the hell did these two collaborate on this?" And like, "Wait a minute, this is some fake ass shit."
Well, now, as hilarious as some of this shit is, though, I'm like, you can't deny like some of these things I've seen. This somewhat recently new trend of like the presidents and former presidents all playing video games together is some of the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Bro.
It's entertaining. I'm like, I know it's not really. I know Biden, Obama, and Trump didn't all get together and play Wii Sports, but it's still funny as shit.
As fun as that would be.
I'm like, they are.
Joe Biden can't even ride a bicycle. I doubt he knows how to play a Wii.
That's different. The input. Trump consistently calls him Sleepy Joe, and they have to keep waking him up. Like, dude, play the game. Wake up.
Well,
it's funny.
I've got because I love playing with Photoshop. One of the apps that I have where I can create logos and do whatever, I can literally just talk it to it. You know, I want the Harsh Truth logo with blah, 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 X, Y, and Z, and it will spit me out an image. And it takes a minute to do sometimes. But literally, it's not hard. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, because like back on that President's Play thing, it's called President's Play. And be careful, there's like two of them called that. I don't know if one's got a space in there somewhere where I don't see it. It's the same damn.
Right.
But the one I watch is called that, and it's so damn funny because every once in a while, like, say they're in Wii Sports Golf and Joe hits a fucking ball, he always goes kablamo. It's so damn funny. He comes out of nowhere with the word kablamo. I wanted to AI generate him playing Call of Duty, so I wanted to have Joe Biden like shouldering a sniper rifle, going like kablamo, bitch. Or I have a picture of him on my phone doing that because it's funnier than shit.
Think about it.
I'm gonna get sued.
How many years? Okay,
I didn't actually make it, so technically you can't sue me.
They've been making movies for what 100 years now or so. I mean, since the 20s and since like the 1920s. Yeah. Realistically, they can make fully generated, well, not fully generated, but obviously with some help from human beings. But you could have almost full AI films by just taking footage. I mean, how many times have we seen it with Carrie Fisher in Star Wars or Luke Skywalker popping up in Mandalorian, whatever it may be, of just taking stock footage, piecing it all together, putting it on a green screen and giving it some good VFX. And, you know, it goes to make $1 billion for the next Marvel movie or something.
There was a story that came out a few years ago. I think it ended up getting kind of buried because the pandemic started about this time. But there was a story that came out several years ago that the people who owned the estate for James Dean were trying to make arrangements. I think we talked about it before. We're trying to make arrangements for them to use like CGI or some kind of trickery to make a new movie with James Dean as the star.
I was going to say,
so James Dean has been dead for 50 years, 50, 60 years, whenever he died back in the 50s. So James Dean, who's been dead for 60 years, was going to be coming out with a new movie in 2024.
See, that brings a lot of morality issues into it, where it's still like, this is so human stuff, and we need to not be just dealing these out like candy. Like, no, hold on. We got to have some process here.
Look at James Earl Jones. He just signed a deal. He basically sold his voice to Disney so that they could forever make Darth Vader in movies.
I mean, they voice, but
and Mufasa.
And Mufasa. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he basically just signed part of his humanity over to an AI assistant.
But that, the difference is that was his choice, though.
Thank you.
That was his choice, though.
True.
When it comes to like the James Dean thing, part of it's like, would James Dean want to do this? Maybe he would, but the problem is I don't know because the guy's been dead for 60 years.
Yeah, he's dead.
Right. So how can we? I mean, even if the guy hadn't died in that car accident, it's likely he might have been dead by now because he'd be 90 or something, some shit like that. So it's like. So how do you know that James Dean would have been cool with this? So it's really just a way for his estate to
he's the rebel without a cause, damn it.
And maybe he would have been down for it. I don't know. But I don't know anybody who knew James Dean well enough that has ever come up and said, yeah, James would totally be cool with this, because they're probably, most of them probably did too.
See, who do you talk to, like his estate or his family or somebody, whoever is in charge of that?
Well, that's the thing, is like whoever's running his estate is like his great nephew or some shit like that, somebody who never met the guy.
Well, I'm just saying, what do you do then? Who's this?
I can't tell you what my great uncle would think is acceptable. I don't know. I didn't know the guy.
This issue, like, I don't know if y'all ever heard about this or not, but after Wes Craven passed away, the rights to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise had reverted back to them because it had been so long since another movie had been made. And everybody from Blumhouse to Universal was pitching ideas at the Craven estate to, bring Freddy Krueger back. And as far as I've heard, nothing has been, no deal has been inked or whatever. But because Wes Craven's not here anymore, his wife and estate now owns that property, just like the James Dean thing. There's a lot of older stuff like this that's, and Wes Craven he was like maybe in his 60s, maybe 70 at the most. I don't know exactly how old he was, but what would if it's his wife, daughter, or son-in-law, who's going to benefit from selling this off, and if we can just generate and put Carrie Fisher in a new Star Wars film, why do we need to hire an actress? These actors and actresses really need to look at this, because if the writers can be replaced with AI, well, guess what? It's even easier to replace with an actor, because we've already got you on camera, buddy. We can do whatever we want to.
Yeah, we're a couple of mouse clicks away from putting you in whatever the hell movie we want to put you in.
Right.
So.
You can have R2-D2 in Metropolis with the Flash running by if you really wanted to. It's not hard.
Man, these fanfics are about to go wild.
Obviously, that whole joke about, Captain Kirk fighting Luke Skywalker in a lightsaber battle can't happen. It's not hard, So, you
at least got to throw in some Spaceballs with Dark Helmet. You got to throw him in there fighting.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Don't do it.
You can have Chewbacca on the USS Enterprise tonight if you really wanted it.
I know.
Him and Warp doing that'd be awesome to see.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So all these Hollywood elites, these big stars, they really need to consider, who do I side with here when I'm the next on the chopping block to be replaced? And it's even easier to replace me because they've got my image. So, good luck.
I don't know. It doesn't look like this writer strike is going to end anytime soon. So go down in the comments below. Do some reading about it. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance.
We'll be talking about this more in the future. I bet. I could very well see more coming out of it.
I have a feeling as things come out about this, it's going to generate some more discussion. But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of the writers, or are you on the side of the Hollywood motion picture companies? I personally hope that the writers get most of what they want, not all of it. Because some of it's a little bit ridiculous, but most of what they want. Because I think it's about time to pay those guys for their creative endeavors. Personally, that's just me. But then moving on to our final topic of the night. And this casting has been kind of hot and heavy for a lot of stuff for a while now. Following casting rumors about Adam Driver, who we talked about last week, and Mila Kunis' apparent involvement in the Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four film, Margot Robbie is now rumored to be in the running for one of the highly anticipated project's leading roles. According to scooper Daniel Rickman, Marvel Studios has reportedly offered the role of Sue Storm, a.k.a. the Invisible Woman, to Robbie, who is best known for her performances as Harley Quinn in DC movies, such as the Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey. Her future in James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC universe is currently unknown. And apart from Robbie and Kunis, Jodie Comer and Allison Williams were actresses rumored to be frontrunners for Sue Storm. Tex, you were just exclamating your love for Margot Robbie. Do you think that Robbie will eventually be announced as the new Sue Storm?
I'm not gonna lie, I was looking at something else. All I heard was Margot Robbie and Hot and Heavy, and you distracted the shit out of me. So,
if you ever need,
I'm with Tex on that.
If you ever need proof that God exists, look at Margot Robbie. That case all that's all you need right there. But no,
don't you just wish you were Leonardo DiCaprio for just a minute when she put her foot on his face? Oh my God!
Rough is all I got to say. No.
Anyway, now that we're done with that,
as much as I love Margot Robbie, I don't know if she's right for this. Physically, yes, she's perfect, but Sue Storm is not the seductress kind of look. She's kind of the more wife, motherly kind of role here. So I don't like when I look at Margot Robbie, I don't get that. I get the Harley Quinn, the seductress, the kind of the exotic look, looking just sexy woman. You know what I mean? Now, if she's cast as Sue Storm, hey, I'm going to be excited because guess what? That's more Margot Robbie for me to drool over in the movie theater. But I don't know if she's quite right for this role. I want more of her as Harley Quinn, obviously. But she's talent. And if she's not going to be used over on the DC side, well, guess what? Obviously, Marvel has a spot for her. So, good on her. So, I don't know if she's perfect. There's got to be somebody who's better for this role than her. But good Lord, I love you, Margot Robbie. Marry me, please. So,
I'm thirsty much.
I'm. It's like I've been in the desert 10 years. You have no idea. I'm not even ashamed about it. I don't care who knows it.
Once I start talking to her, him clickety clacking on his little AI crap.
I might have to excuse myself for a moment, gentlemen.
All right. If anyone's seen Firefly, he'll be in his bunk.
I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think? I mean, this was news that kind of popped up yesterday. You think it's possible? You like the idea? What do you think?
I don't know. I agree with Tex. Like, yeah, she's definitely got the look. I mean, she's got the blonde hair.
Right.
It's not like she doesn't have like the physique and the physical ability to do it. I mean, we all saw her doing backflips as Harley Quinn, beating the crap out of people with baseball bats. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I guess my only rebuttal to that is, I mean, well, really, even think about back in I don't know if it was 2004 or 5 when the original one came out. You can't tell me Jessica Biel wasn't, a hot piece of ass too. So
yeah, but Jessica Biel, yes, as gorgeous as she is and was, Margot Robbie comes off as more of a seductress than Jessica Alba does.
Well, but that's not how she's playing I mean, we, like you said, we know that's not exactly who Sue Storm is.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, if she doesn't play it that way, then cool. I don't know. I don't doubt she can. I mean, I know it's like we're saying this, and then like we shot ourselves in the foot. Like I was like, oh, Ben Affleck's gonna be Batman, really? Okay, dude. I'm just saying we didn't expect some of this stuff to blow us away like it did. Like I said, Robert Downey Jr. with Heath Ledger as the Joker, with hell, I didn't even. Well, I guess I got to see Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, but you know what I mean. It could work.
I think maybe part of why I say what I did, I've never not seen her in kind of a seductress role.
I was about to say, we just talked about this, right? Like, do you want to see her do something else? Yeah.
Right. I mean, from Wolf of Wall Street, where she gets all the way naked. God bless that woman. Holy crap. I saw that movie so many times in theaters. It's stupid. But, and then, of course, I mean, Suicide Squad, I mean, she's literally a sex pot. She's the definition of a sex pot. I mean, that's what she is.
That's rookie numbers, man. You got to pump them numbers up.
Right. Oh, but never mind. I was about to say something. Never mind.
Yeah, maybe don't go there.
But no, I mean, I just, like I said, I mean, maybe because of the films I have seen her in, it's kind of, I guess maybe I'm typecasting, and maybe that's not a good thing to do. But she does it well. That's what I'm saying. She does it well. I mean, there's got to be another actress out there that still has the look, but has more of a different approach and took another way. When the majority of people look at Margot Robbie, they go sex pot. They go very, they think a certain way.
To be fair, that little dream sequence where she was having those like fantasies put in her head by the Enchantress, where she had like the little home life, and she was a mom.
Oh yeah.
And she was just like, "Hey, wait, I want that." And I'm like, "Aw." Damn.
Well, I mean, she's got that. She's playing what's the doll? Crap.
Barbie.
Barbie. Yeah, she's playing Barbie here. So.
And she's got to be that like naive, innocent, like, oh my god, you know. So
right. I mean, but Sue Storm is like.
She's got to be able to quip with Mr. Fantastic too. You know what I mean? It's got to be. That
I still hate that cast. Too. I still don't want Adam Driver. I just don't like him as an actor.
Well, that's not for sure yet. Remember, that's all speculation.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that's a rumor and that goes to somebody else.
We could get to Comic-Con and they give me exactly what I want. They just have Krasinski and Blunt come out and be like, here's remission.
Oh, I think that's perfect. Sweet. I mean, I mean, you need a older, more mature Mr. Fantastic and a Sue Storm that matches that.
That's what I'm saying. This team dynamic's got to work. I'm like, I want to know who Johnny Storm is going to be, and I want to know who Ben's going to be.
Right. Well, I mean, Johnny Storm, he needs to be about what Spider-Man's age is in your Marvel universe. I talked about this when we talked about Adam Driver. You know, so
yeah, he's got to be the young, like motor mouth, like fucking Pardon the pun, hothead. He's got to be, you know, quippy.
Now, if you want to give me John Krasinski and Margot Robbie, I'm more accepting of that than I am Adam Driver with Margot Robbie. I saw a picture of Adam Driver and Margot Robbie together before we started tonight. They don't even look like they go together. You know, obviously this is just at an award show somewhere, but they just don't look like a good fit. And I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not crazy about the casting.
Did you expect Kylo Ren and Scarlett?
Kylo Ren and Harley Quinn standing there together?
No, I meant like him and Black Widow to be in a movie together either. You know what I mean? He played opposite.
Yeah, I don't know. I just honestly, Margot Robbie is ours. She's DC's. I want her to stay on the DC side. I don't want to see her go to the dark side and run to Marvel. I honestly don't want to see that.
Quit trading, damn it. She's on our jersey, God damn it.
Right. She's one of the few good things that we have. You know what I mean?
Well, we don't really know what DC is going to look like moving forward just yet. So
what it's going to look like.
Right, but obviously
their idea of what they want to do with the character of Harley Quinn is not what has been done up to this point. And maybe she's like, well, that's a bit too much of a divergence from what I've made of this character, so I'm going to go ahead and just say, no thanks, I'm going to check out and go do other things now. And they can hire somebody else to be Harley Quinn. I mean, technically they already have. Lady Gaga's doing it.
Well, so I say, I'm going to be real pissed off if we trade Margot Robbie for Lady freaking Gaga. I'm going to be real pissed off if we do.
I don't know. I feel like Lady Gaga is more of a fit for that role, to be perfectly honest. I mean, she's kind of weird anyway.
She does. She could really knock that out of the park. To be fair, that is a different universe than the one we have.
Oh, of course.
Margot Robbie. So, like, in their own rights, they do play the Harley Quinn to a good. For the worlds that they're in, I suppose. Like, I could believe you wouldn't throw Margot Robbie in there with Joaquin Phoenix and be like, yeah, this is gonna work.
No, it
absolutely would not. You know, now him opposite of Lady Gaga, yeah, I could see that.
I don't know who I would cast her in. Like, if I were to cast Margot Robbie as a Marvel role, I don't know who that would be, but Sue Storm would not be. The only thing that physically, yes, looks wise, she's Sue Storm to a T. But besides that, I don't see the casting. She doesn't fit for me in that role. I wouldn't have her in that. But I don't know.
We definitely can't have Chris Evans be Johnny Storm again, so that'd be kind of awkward.
Actually, come on. And Deadpool 3 one more time, just for 5 seconds. Just come on. That'd be great.
That would be great.
Actually, right now, in this article, it says that Austin Butler, who we were just talking about earlier in the Dune trailer, he's actually reportedly eyeing the role of Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. So, and there is not any word who's going to play Ben Grimm. I haven't heard any casting rumors about that.
I'm okay with.
That could work.
It could.
I don't know.
Well, also, are they going to do? Are they going to do the thing like animated? Or are they going to do a suit? You know what I mean?
You know, that's one of the reasons why it's hard to answer this question of would I like to see her as Sue Storm or not, because we don't know what this Sue Storm is going to be. I mean, Jessica Alba's was one thing. Who played it? Mara, who played it in the other one.
Kate Mara?
Kate Mara.
Yeah.
She was good, I thought. I mean, I actually thought that movie was pretty good, like the first half. The second half, it kind of felt
that whole movie was. But I couldn't.
I didn't
bother.
I
think the first half was pretty good. Second half of the movie just didn't work for me at all. It was just not a very good way to do it. But I mean, yes, they're different versions of the same character. Maybe her version is going to be something that works really well for her. Could she do it? Absolutely, she could do it. She's a professional actress. She pretends to be other people. She's just not going to pretend to be Harley Quinn, which I think is what some people get hung up on. Again, that's kind of the typecasting thing. As you said, that we only see people as this one thing, and we kind of forget that they're actors. They do this professionally. They can play somebody else who is not this character all the fucking time. So I say give her a shot. Again, we don't know what this is going to be. All we know about this right now is that Kevin Feige said it's not going to be an origin story. That we've already shown them getting exposed to the radiation in space.
So many damn times.
They're going to start. They're going to start by just being the first family of Marvel. And then it's going to just start from there. And they might allude to what happened or whatever. So same thing as Spider-Man. We didn't get the origin story for the newer Spider-Man with Tom Holland, which is fine by me. We didn't really get it for Batman, the DC. I actually love the way they handled that. It's one of my favorite things that the old DC.
We get it. His parents died. Holy crap.
I love the way they handled that.
Zack Snyder handled the Batman backstory better than anybody in Batman v Superman. In the credits scene, it took 5 minutes. It was done.
But perfect. We don't yet know what it's going to be. I mean, and again, we don't even know who else is going to be cast. I mean, like I said, I'm a firm believer that at Comic-Con, this is going to be one of the bombs that Disney drops. They're going to say, because this movie starts filming early next year, as far as the schedule is concerned. Let me go back to the one article. It starts filming in early 2024, and it's scheduled to make its debut February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2025, as part of Phase 6 of the MCU. So I think that's right about the time that they go ahead and release the cast. It's going to be Comic-Con, and if she walks out there, one of the things that I'm going to be watching is who's walking out there with her. Is she walking out there with Austin Butler? Is she walking out there with Adam Driver?
See, he's another one.
Is she walking out with John Krasinski? I think her opposite John Krasinski, this could be a lot of fun.
That could be.
Because I've always loved the idea of John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. Not so much Emily Blunt. I think it would have been fun, and I think she would have done it very well. But I do like the idea of Margot Robbie versus John.
I don't think Emily Blunt's that good of an actress, to be honest with you. I've seen her in a handful of projects. I've never been a fan, honestly.
I've liked just about everything she's done that I've seen.
I like her.
I don't know. But the best thing she's ever done was A Quiet Place, and hell, she barely even spoke in that movie.
Because you can't.
Nobody barely spoke in that movie.
You gotta be quiet, damn it.
And that's the best that she's ever done.
But I mean, like I said, it's a lot of it's going to be just like who she's going to be acting across from. So maybe the idea of her playing Sue Storm right now doesn't really fit what we would want the character to be. But once we see them up on stage together, it's like, damn, I'm seeing these.
I'll tell you what,
it could work.
You give me some test footage of maybe Margot Robbie in a skin tight Fantastic Four suit. Maybe I change my mind, Marvel. Just at /Vision on Twitter, you can just DM it to me. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But
you won't be getting it for at least another 6 or 8 months. They'll start filming it until.
You know what? No.
You know what? Concept art is concept art okay for you?
No, you know what?
No. I don't need concept art. I'm gonna need legit photos. A good 360.
Yeah. You can super.
Like I said.
No, use your app that you like. Superimpose that onto Sue Storm.
You know what I would do to troll this man if they're like, "Here, you want footage of her being Sue Storm?" I just have a picture of just an empty room the entire time. There you go. There's Sue Storm.
There she is.
Right.
She's like John Cena. You can't see her. She's right there the whole time. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it fits. I don't know. I love Margot Robbie.
It's hard to see it when I'm like, I don't know who the rest of the team is. I'm like, I don't know if I can really just picture just her being, Sue Storm by herself.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
I also don't want Austin Butler playing a Marvel superhero role. I wanted him to play Nightwing ever since I saw him in Elvis. I think the dude would be perfect for a Nightwing role. You know what I mean?
Well,
that could be
DC is going to have to want to do Nightwing, and if they're...
I know.
I want them to do Nightwing, damn it.
I would love them to do Nightwing. The problem is right now they're trying to kind of get their footing for what they want to start their new...
Well, see, here's the thing with DC. They're doing Batman and Son with an already established Bat family. James Gunn even said this in the announcement, which means Nightwing, Red Hood, Batgirl. Who knows who it's all going to be. You don't get to Damian Wayne before you go through Nightwing Dick Grayson or Robin Nightwing Dick Grayson. You know what I mean? That's why I want Austin Butler for that role. And he's already in the Warner Brothers family.
We still got to go through Jason Todd, Tim Blake, Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
We got to get through all that.
You got to have my boy Red Hood in there. He's my favorite. You know what I mean?
Aesthetically, Red Hood, I mean, holy shit. Awesome.
Oh, Red Hood's a man, dude. He's my favorite.
That's one of my favorite DC animations, Under the Red Hood. Batman Under the Red Hood.
That is the best animated. That is the best DC animated film they've ever done. Under the Red Hood.
DC animated stuff has been way better than Marvel's animated stuff by a lot.
It always has been. True. Yes, 100%. But like I said, I just don't see her. I don't see her as Sue Storm. It doesn't. It's like a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't fit.
Well, like I said, I don't want to blotch this with what I want to do with the character or what I want to see from the character. I want to see a taste of what they're giving me first. So, like I said, the important part is it's like the idea of right now her Mila Kunis. I like the idea of Julie Comer, to be honest. I really liked her at Free Guy.
Yeah,
but it's like the important thing is going to be seeing when they do finally announce the cast, whether it's at Comic-Con this year, which is when I predict it'll be, or whether it's sometime later in the year, like say November, December, right before they start filming. Disney has this whole big thing somewhere. Maybe they just drop a video on YouTube or something like that, or on Twitter saying, "Here's our cast," and they just like show pictures of everybody, and I can kind of like visualize it all and be like, okay, I'm visualizing this person as Reed Richards, I'm visualizing this person as Sue, I'm visualizing this person as Torch, so on and so on down the line. Like, okay, now that I'm putting the way that I see their performances that I already have in my head together and saying, okay, this is what I think I'm going to see. Then maybe I can say, okay, I kind of like this idea or don't like this idea. But right now, all I can do is just say, does she look like Sue Storm? Well, yeah.
And yes.
There's no argument.
I'm like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, she could
looks wise.
She looks, yeah.
But and again, also from what we alluded to in the last story, it's about the writing. Is the character going to be written well? Because actors can read bad dialogue and sound like ass. It's the dialogue that matters. So the writing of these characters, but even the world that they create is going to matter more than anything else.
Looking at you, Star Wars prequels.
Damn right.
However, you have been now overstepped by the sequel, so you're good. Don't worry, I still loved you. It's okay.
It was a good origin story for Darth Vader.
It worked for whatever it was, yeah.
Haven't we got his origin like as many times as Batman at this point, though? I mean, we kind of know how and why and whatever. I mean,
who, Darth Vader?
Yeah.
Well, we got the one origin story.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I'm saying, but I mean, are you going to show him getting cut up by Obi-Wan on Mustafar a different way again? I mean, I don't know if that story is needed though.
Hey, well, I was gonna say George
for the Obi-Wan series, yeah.
Well, I was gonna say don't give George Lucas any more ideas to change these damn films with this stupid CGI shit. But he's not in the seat anymore, so
he's gonna digitally put some puppets as Anakin's burning on the side of Mustafar.
Added a couple of rocks in the scene because it really just changes it that much.
Right.
Hey, what was it he said? It's the story I wanted to tell. It was that little rock that had to be in front of R2 when he was hiding from Obi-Wan. Like, shut up.
Right.
Some of the stuff, I agree with. However, Han still shot first. Leave it alone.
I mean, I'm down for a Darth Vader movie, not necessarily an origin story. I think who is that?
I don't want to see that right now. Not right now.
You don't think so?
No. One of my problems, way off topic, but one of my problems with Star Wars right now is they've deleted the brand. I mean, one of the reasons why Force Awakens popped the way it did, why it made so much money, and why everybody was really excited about it. Even the people who didn't quite like the movie said they thought the movie was definitely by far the best of the new trilogy. It was the movie that we never thought we were going to get. We never thought we'd get a new Star Wars property. And now all of a sudden we get the new trilogy, and we've got 4 or 5 TV shows, and we've got Rogue One, and we've got Solo. It deleted the brand. They need to just slow down making these damn movies.
You know what Force Awakens was? It was what Phantom Menace was in its time. It was like, oh my God, we're getting more stuff. Like, it's been 20 some ish years. No, not 20. I can't do math. 15-ish years. And
what was like, Return of the Jedi? What, 87?
83.
83?
So you're going from 83 to 99. So yeah, about 15-ish years. You know what I mean? So I'm like, that was the holy shit moment. That's why Phantom Menace was like, I remember I was there.
I was too. I was there.
My pants, but I was there. I'm just saying, I was there.
I was there. I was in 7th grade. Yeah.
Oh no,
I was there.
I was like 5 or 6 years old, but I remember that shit. It was hyped. That's one thing I'm glad I remember. Is I'm like, I remember that shit. And then it was kind of, I mean, if we can end off on the best part of Fanboys was the last line, guys.
What if this movie sucks?
What if this movie sucks? I'm like, right.
We definitely. I still stand by the prequels. I love the Star Wars prequels. I love them. All 3 of them. I love them all. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh God, please let's do Fanboys. I love that movie so much.
That movie's awesome.
That's a fun movie.
God. I love that movie so much.
Oh man.
But yeah, I don't know. Go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Do you think Margot Robbie fits as Sue Storm? Tex has his reservations, but he just wants to see her on screen.
I have my reservations, but I still love her. Don't put out there any negative. Margot Robbie, listen to me. I love you, honey. Just come on home. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all gonna be all right. All right. Just I love you. It's okay.
And me and Jerry were taking a more wait and see approach. I think that's the right way to go. But Tex isn't wrong, technically speaking. I like to see Margot Robbie on screen whenever I can. But yeah, go down in the comments and let us know what you guys think. And we're going to be getting the actual cast announcement. Again, I think it comes at Comic-Con. Comic-Con's in about 2 months. Yeah, somewhere middle or late July. I think that's when Disney's going to drop the announcement on us. I think that's when they're going to walk him out on stage. They're going to walk him out with Adam Shackman, who did WandaVision, who was the showrunner for that, who's directing this film. And I think it's going to be. I think that's where we're going to get it. And that's where I'm going to look at it and be like, okay, this person fits with this person. I think it's going to make a little more sense. We're going to start to visualize it a bit differently. But go down in the comments below, let us know what you guys think. And that's a pretty good place to wrap things up. Before we go, though, I do want to say a quick rest in peace to Gordon Lightfoot. Man, that was, he passed away, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. Is when
I didn't even hear about it.
Yeah, I swear to God, if you've never, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald is one of the great songs. The one thing that Jeremy and I have talked about as long as we know each other more than movies is maybe music. Mm-hmm. And I've been saying for a long time now that one of the problems with music is they don't make epic songs anymore. There is no Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. There's no Bohemian Rhapsody. There's no November Rain.
There's no Stairway to Heaven. Like
Stairway. There is no epic song anymore that you can just get completely absorbed by for the 10 minutes or so that it's on. And that song is most definitely one of them. Not to mention he's got one of the great love songs as well with God damn, why am I drawing a blank now? That was just listening to the other day. I had my Gordon Lightfoot playlist going when I was at work the other day. I have to get the song now or I'm going to lose my damn mind over this. I won't be able to.
Can't end the show unless we don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't just go out and put it on Twitter later on and be like, this was the song. That wouldn't be good enough.
And everyone's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, good Canadian kid, born and raised, lived his entire life in Canada and said, why would I ever want to go? If you could read my mind, one of the great love songs. Also, like Sunday, Carefree Highway is also a really great song. And then, of course, the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which, there's a million videos about the Edmund Fitzgerald. That in and of itself should have a movie made about it. I know they've tried to make some TV movies about it, but it needs like a big budget release because I think it would be an amazing story. But yeah, so definitely rest in peace to Gordon Lightfoot, one of the great folk singers of all time. Great songwriter. Again, great songwriter. He actually got to start writing songs for other people. And then just kind of was like messing around doing his own stuff. And then I think it was his 3rd or 4th album. I forget which one it was. He had done some albums solo, but then finally he had one album pop off, and that was one of the ones that had If You Could Read My Mind. I think the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald came later. If You Could Read My Mind, I think Sundown was one of his early hits too. So, yeah, just a great songwriter, a great performer, and was touring right up till the end. I mean, he had just canceled a few dates because his health was starting to get a little bad. But yeah, he was touring up as recently as I think last summer. He was out doing some stuff. But and he was scheduled to do some stuff. I think just next month in a couple of places in Canada. So yeah, rest in peace to Gordon Lightfoot. I mean, you guys have anything to say about his career as we start to get out of here?
I have nothing to add, but vaya con Dios, man. Adios.
Hate to lose another one, man.
Yeah, good. Like I said, I got wrapped up in a Gordon Lightfoot playlist on YouTube the other day at work, and I just kind of kept hitting repeat. I listened to that like 10 or 11 songs probably about 4 times in the course of an 8-hour day. It was just one after another. They were just hitting hard. They were great songwriter, again, great performer. The folksy singers of the 70s, man, they had some good shit. And I'm mad at myself sometimes for not realizing it till I was older and not kind of enjoying it more when I was a kid in the 80s and early 90s when I was in my teen years. But man, a fantastic performer, fantastic writer, very, very big loss to a good Canadian kid. So rest in peace to Gordon Lightfoot. And we're going to go ahead and close out on that note. My man Tex down from the southern border. What do you got going on, my friend?
Oh, not much. Hanging out here. Excited for Saturday night when we get to talk about Evil Dead Rise.
We may have to move Saturday night. We're going to work that out.
Okay. Well,
we'll do it soon. I don't want to do this without Jeremy. So
okay. Yeah. No, Jeremy needs to be here. Well, whenever we get to do that, I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, don't make me start reading from the Necronomicon to make you be here, Jeremy. I will. I've got one of the 3. I found it under my house. I don't explain how, but I'll start chanting. But yeah,
the good news is it might give me a shot to go see the movie for a second time before we actually do the review.
That's fair,
dude. This movie, oh my god, do I love it? I've already seen it.
I hope I'm involved in this because I'm like, I have so many good things to say about this movie.
Oh yeah, no, you need to be here 100%. But yeah, no, just make sure you watch our Evil Dead Rise and everything else we do because we're awesome. And I don't know, maybe after this, I feel like slumming a little bit. I'm gonna go watch Casey's channel because I think he's live. So I'm gonna go hang out with him for a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Casey
as always.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't mention Casey because I was about to mention that Casey did send in a super chat earlier.
Okay.
Of course, he has his own channel. And of course, Casey, we thank you for supporting the channel. He says when you're done playing podcasts, you can come over to my stream on Wednesday Night Nitro.
Like I said, I feel like slum. Every once in a while, you need that greasy cheeseburger. That's bad for you, but you want to feel better about yourself. So I'm gonna go slum it with them over there and hang out in the comment section. So if you want to go hang out, I'll be over there. So
what you're saying is Casey's that one girl you call up and you just feel dirty about it the whole time. You're like,
it's the girl you don't tell your friends about, but if you've got that itch, you know what I mean. So do what you need to do.
You're gonna be having an itch afterward. Jesus Christ! I make medicine for that shit.
It's like bringing home a fat girl. You just don't tell your friends. You know what I mean? So.
My hetero life mate Jeremy, what do you got going on, my friend?
Well, I mean, hopefully I'm gonna be part of this Evil Dead Rise thing because
you will be.
Yeah, I'm like I wouldn't want to miss that. Maybe there just may not have been enough communication there. Because what I have coming up this weekend is going to Comic-Con.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, so just for a day, because why not? Gonna go meet Adam Savage from MythBusters, which is
nice.
Oh, cool!
That's so cool. I have to get a picture of that guy. Ron Perlman for sure because I want him to sign my copy of Fallout 3 for sure. What was the third one was Cooper Andrews who played Jerry on The Walking Dead because I mean Jerry's everyone's Jerry, and he's gonna be there too, which I've already met Carrie Payton, but I mean that's still really awesome. They're both there at the same time.
You should get him to sign an action figure of Cyborg, from Teen Titans because he voiced him for forever, dude.
When we went there and it was when King Ezekiel got announced. I went in there. I don't know why it didn't click. I was like, "Oh my god, he was Cyborg! Holy shit!" When we went in the booth to get the picture with him, and my friend went as Negan. I went as Comic Book Rick, and he went as Negan. It was Brooding Gamer. He went as Negan. I don't know why it didn't click. He saw him. He's like, he immediately said, "No, give me that bat." He's like, "Get on your knees, kid." And the picture is him. He's like in mid swing about to take Brady's head off.
And you should bring a stuffed tiger with you. Have him hold the tiger.
That was the thing with Walking Dead. But I walked in and I said, "Can you say booyah to me one time?" He kind of looked at me like it was happening so fast. He kind of went, "What?" He's like, "Oh, I get it." So as I walked out, he gave me a booyah and gave me a big pat on the back, and I was like,
"Yeah, he's voiced Cyborg since that the early 2004 or so when that Teen Titans show came out.
Oh, yeah.
He's been doing it ever since, and other DC characters. He did Black Lightning on Young Justice and a few other characters. So.
And finally, Tara Strong is actually going to be at I think a different in the year Finally, so I think I can get that out of the way. But that's later. Anywho, still playing video games. I still haven't figured absolute jack shit out because I work 10-hour days now and I come home and die. So, rather, I'm sorry. Is that better? That's
and it's gone.
I need to have that as like a GIF if I ever stream. I need to have that pop on my screen. Yeah, and like I said, I don't know. I got weirdly one of the very first things Frank ever told me, like back when we worked together, he was like, carry a little notebook around with you. If you start getting ideas and shit, just write shit down. And while I was at work today, I was like I said with Tex just said some shit to me about this thing, and I was like, holy shit, wait a minute. This is working. So
you and I could write the most fucked up greatest zombie movie ever made. I guarantee.
I am very curious because I'm like, I would love to make some seriously strip deprived shit. It'd be so much fun.
Hey, I said the other day, you wait till I get to make my films. I'm gonna make Rob Zombie look like a church boy when I get done. You have no idea what I have in store.
So anyway, yeah, there's gaming shit coming out. And like I said, I'm on Twitter. There's the name right there on the bottom of my screen. Yeah, so like I said, Comic-Con coming up and maybe some video games. Tomorrow is Star Wars Day, so may the 4th be with you all. I'm probably gonna be doing that all day tomorrow since I have tomorrow off. Just running through Star Wars movies and drinking blue milk.
Damn right.
I'm gonna wear a trash can on my head and pretend to be Mando.
Hey,
you're gonna blast some people too to sell it.
Right. Yeah. Carry around a blaster with a dumpster on my head, and anytime anybody says anything, this is the way, and just go on about just do my thing. It'll be good.
Yeah, I forgot to point out Tour Capture in the chat earlier. He said off topic, what's this Jamie Foxx deathbed thing? I have no idea. John Campia talked about it earlier. I don't know if you guys remember this being in the news. I don't think we talked about it, but Jamie Foxx was rushed to the hospital from a set of something he was making.
I never even heard about
this. This was 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Still
with an unidentified health issue. Nobody knows what was wrong with him, but he's still in the hospital. His family had been saying he was getting better, but then I guess one of his kids today tweeted "pray for Jamie" or something like that on Twitter. Nobody really knows what's going on.
I hear that.
It's hard to comment on it. I haven't really. I mean, between getting this ready for the show, doing some yard work, I was trying to get caught up today, and I was trying to keep up with this thing that happened in Atlanta today. There was a shooting in Atlanta today that was all over the news. I didn't really get a chance to look into this, but nobody really knows anything anyway, as far as I can tell. So, I mean, I hope he's okay. That's all I hope for.
All I can see from like a few hours ago is he's finally come out and started to say like he's glad everybody's giving him all the love and all this. He's feeling blessed. I mean, I was gonna say the first thing that came up was TMZ. Take it for what you want. It says 19 hours ago. It says everyone's urging pray for Jamie. Everything seems like it says Jamie Foxx has now recently said like he's feeling blessed. He's feeling better.
Yeah, maybe it was just like his kid tweeted something and everybody all of a sudden just kind of like, because we're all idiots as a whole, just kind of thought that he was dying.
Well, I mean, it's some unknown thing, man.
The context was missing. That happens a lot in the entertainment world. But
that's scary, though, man.
JSP popping in the end. He says, "How goes? It's been a while. What's going on, JSP?" Yeah, a bit of a Wednesday show instead of a Thursday show. I'm doing a thing with American Werewolf New Jersey tomorrow. We're going to be reviewing Rogue One. So I'll be on his show tomorrow night. So I moved this week's show to today. And at some point in the next week, we're going to have the Evil Dead Rise review. And there's a couple of retro reviews I want to get done here in the next couple of weeks too. We'll figure that stuff out.
Dawn of the Dead 2004.
we might get into that. We might. But yeah, and of course you guys can find me here every Thursday going over all the news that's going on. It's worth us talking about the world of streaming television and film. You can, like I said, tomorrow you'll find me over on American Werewolf New Jersey's channel breaking down Rogue One. At some point next week, I'll arrange it with Jeremy to make sure we're all free. We'll be doing the Evil Dead Rise. There's also a couple other movies that are coming out, and we're coming really close to the Guardians is coming out. We're going to be doing that one here pretty soon. We're just we're a little bit more than a month away from the Flash. So that's going to be coming up soon. So just keep an eye on the channel and spread us around. That way we can grow. I mean, growth in the channel has been stagnant lately. I haven't really been doing a lot to push the channel the last several months, so it's really kind of me. But I need you guys to spread the word, spread us around. Tell your friends to come hang out with us and subscribe. Give us some likes. Help push us up the algorithm. Because like it says in the description, YouTube does absolutely nothing to help small creators. If anything, you're trying to throw hurdle after hurdle in front of us. So just spread us around. Let your friends know that you like to talk movies, that we like to talk movies, and then come hang out with us. We appreciate it very much. Thank you guys again for coming and hanging out. You guys are very awesome. Thanks to my awesome co-hosts for doing their thing as I start the music way late. But we will see you guys next week. Till then. Bye.
See y'all later.
I mean, could you think of anybody better than Margot Robbie?
No.
Oh,
Like
Margot Robbie.
Never.
Who is that girl in Debbie Does Dallas? She could do it.
Oh, she